hasn't updated yet.
So, what happened in the first chapter of our story? Where did we begin?
It opened with a carriage.
On a dark and stormy night.
And said carriage got a broken wheel. And we met Deracine, Charlotte, and Jensen. And Jensen got out to help the guy. And eventually got the wheel back on and fixed. And then they got into town. And we might have swapped over to me at that point.
Before we actually got there, yeah. In the graveyard, there was a figure huddling over a fire who heard voices outside and saw two people taking new bodies out of the graves and into the woods.
Mm-hmm. And those were his bodies.
They were his, yes.
So he followed after him. And then got bonked in the back of the head and knocked out.
Yeah.
And then we swapped back to the inn. Where Charlotte talked to a wealthy guy while Jensen bought everybody food and drinks. They got the quest. They got told about a couple of quests, but the one guards came in to take to the graveyard quest. So they went there, and then they found they found the new empty graves. Deracine found a corpse that had its brain removed in the manner that matched the missing pages from his doctor book. And then they found my mausoleum that I've been staying in. And then they also found the tracks leading out that I had followed, and they followed them. And they eventually got to a cabin where it swapped back to me, buck-ass naked in a cage with a creepy guy with a burlap sack and a knife. A burlap sack over his head and a knife. Wanted to dissect me, and I think his almost exact words were, "Look what's under the stitches?" It was creepy.
Apologies.
But then he got up and left, and they took what I saw the shadow of what appeared to be a very large cat in a cage. And
I didn't necessarily describe the shadow as cat looking, but it was like the size of a lion.
Oh, okay. I heard lion, and I guess I just kind of threw in.
You're good. It definitely wasn't like bulky enough to be like a bear, but it looked too large to be like a wolf.
Okay. Saw a shadow of that, and they took it away. And then I reached for the bars, and there were like little metallic spikes that were growing out of them. And V just decided that wasn't real, and it went away. And pried open the bars to his cage and found a pair of boots and went upstairs. And then they were outside. They snuck up to a side entrance. And then it was locked. And Deracine couldn't pick it. So they got Jensen over there, who had stayed behind because he's not very sneaky. And he broke the lock. And when they came down, they saw a pale, naked man wearing boots running up the stairs. And Chris asked if he recognized those cheeks.
And a viral episode 1 or chapter 1 moment.
Right. Which he did. Yeah. So he came and called me back down. I was very surprised to see him. And then we decided to take out the guys in here and look around. So me and Jensen went upstairs and started fucking them up while Durasane and Charlotte looked around. And Charlotte found a briefcase that the creepy burlap sack guy snuck up behind her and slashed her throat for.
Ooh.
And then Durasane saved her life, and we finished beating up the bad guys. And Jensen interrogated one that told us there was a reserved place, but he didn't know where it was. And then I ate one of their brains, hoping to see their memories for the last 24 hours. And this one didn't have any memories. Because I failed my roll. Yeah. I guess they also found out that there was at least 3 people residing in my head.
Mm-hmm. That is true. What happened after that?
We knocked one guy out and then woke him up and interrogated him. And he didn't know what was in the suitcase that we found that got taken again. He didn't know much about the creature. And he basically just didn't seem to know a whole lot of relevant stuff to us. So I think we
he did tell you something pretty important.
That the baghead people were the ones in charge.
Yes.
He did tell you, you guys did learn that the people that were wearing the sacks over their heads were like a separated caste. But he also told you guys something else that was pretty important.
Notes. I unfortunately think I got too into role playing.
I believe he's the first person that mentioned a second location to you guys.
I remember he said there was a second location, but he didn't know where.
He didn't know where, but he told you what it was.
Oh, was it an old church?
Yes.
Yep.
He said it was an old
Yeah,
church in the Whispering Woods.
I remember that.
And then I think I knocked him back out because Jensen promised I wouldn't kill him and eat his brain. He didn't say anything about knocking him back the fuck out. And I think we were trying to figure out how best to resolve this mission while getting paid. And we decided on that we could blame the brain missing and bodies on these people here. So I smeared what was left of the brain I had already pulled out onto the unconscious guy's clothes.
True.
And then I think we tied them up, and our plan was to go back to town and claim they were people and send them out. And
you guys did that.
Yeah,
we did do that.
You kind of like smash cut a little bit.
Yeah, but you guys
we skipped the travel. Not you, Matt did.
We skipped the travel back to town, but we cut to you guys talking to Herc, and Herc went up there with his men. And then you guys went back to the tavern to talk before you went to bed.
And then there was a creepy scene with Miss Charlotte.
There was a creepy scene with Miss Charlotte after everyone went to bed. What happened in that scene?
The shadows are moving around, almost like they were watching her back. Probably a good time. Probably nothing, honestly. I mean,
probably nothing.
Really, what could that
big
be? I'm glad we settled that.
Yeah, that happens to everyone. I mean,
we open on a peaceful morning For all of you, the night before, your first night in Lambeth Hollow was eventful. For most everyone else in the village, it was another night. Another long night, trying to stay warm and dry and hoping all those patched holes over the hotter period of the year would hold up. This weather, it's not uncommon here, especially this time of year. For those of you that are wondering, you arrived here. Let's see here. You arrived here on the third errand day of Maruvian, which is the season of the Dusklight. For those of you that haven't memorized the calendar yet, do your homework. Do your homework.
God damn.
But you do know that the village will most likely be getting busy by the end of this segment of the month, because the last day of Maruvian is the shipment's holiday. And there will probably be a lot of people from this village that will start coasting over the next couple days towards the larger communities that are by either the strait to the south that separates this part of Karth from the main body of the continent, or westwards towards the big shipment celebration that happens on the western docks, which are fairly famous because the western docks are where the settlers and colonists left on their ship to set foot on Algamore for the first continent, which is for the first time, which is the continent to the west of here. It's basically the most newly discovered continent on the planet. Either way, Aaron Day is behind all of you, and as all of you kind of wake up one by one on Bellin Day, who's an early riser amongst the party? All right.
I probably am.
Maybe
Yeah.
not today, though.
Yes, I agree. I think that we'll probably be seeing your character last for today, based upon the amount of drugs you were probably given to help with the pain. Let's begin in the shared quarters of V, I apologize, and Dere. What all of you do is you rise. You know that all of your characters had agreed to meet up downstairs to decide what kind of the next steps were. Specifically, not everyone in the party had even agreed that they were going to be staying here long term. You haven't really formed as a party yet per se, but you did all agree at least to have a conversation. So what are the two of you doing?
I mean, I would have been super restless and just kind of tossing and turning the whole night after a very short little while. So when he finally wakes up, I'd probably be very excited and go, good, about time. Hold on a second. How did I sleep, Matt?
Technically, you wouldn't have gotten that feature until after this long rest.
Okay.
So
Okay.
technically, you just took your one and only long rest of the campaign. Do you want to tell them what that feature does?
Yeah, sure. So I picked up a new feature called No Rest for the Wicked. I can't benefit from a long rest. On a short rest, I roll 1d6 to determine the results. If I roll a 1, I get the benefits of a short rest, and I can roll to remove wounds or sanity, not both. If I roll a 2, it counts as a regular short rest, so I can heal both of them. 3, it counts as a regular short rest, and I increase the recovery die by 1 step. 4 is the same thing except 2 steps. 5 counts as a long rest for me, and 6 counts as a long rest, and I increase my wound threshold by my brawn and my sanity threshold by my wisdom for a day.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting a long rest off of a short rest.
No, 2.
Yeah, 1 in...
Oh yeah, 1 in 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
basically, yeah. And otherwise, there's a slight chance of getting a bad short rest and a slight chance of getting a normal short rest.
Yeah. And I imagine if I go too many short rests without a long rest in between, I'll probably start having some undesired side effects.
If you just never roll the 5 or the 6, you'll start having some bad side effects after a while.
I
That
can
feature,
tell you
I
what
think,
those
can
side
technically
effects
kill you.
are. If
Yeah, it could.
I'm pretty sure that feature could technically kill you.
I'm sure it
Times.
could.
Times.
That would be
You're
hilarious
so it
if
doesn't
I just
matter.
died from sleep exhaustion or sleep deprivation.
Chris's character starts taking notes. Must fix sleep deprivation issue and next model.
Unforeseen side effect.
Sorry, we interrupted your guys' roleplay.
Mark 2 include healing protocol.
We recover our full everything on a long rest, right?
I think everyone picked up features with their points after the first session.
I did pick up a feature.
No, you didn't?
I did not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Everyone else did.
I think it's up 2.
We won't tell them about the other one because I'm sure there will be a good roleplay moment for that one.
Oh, fuck yeah, there will be. Yeah. I'll make sure of it at some point, I'm sure.
As the two of you are preparing for the day, is there anything that the two of you want to discuss? As this is before you're like around other people, basically. As this is happening, one thing you would notice is that these clothes are like, people are used to seeing people with dirty clothes, but these clothes are going to draw a lot of attention to them. Especially if you guys are going to be moving about in the day today. You're thinking that probably one of the things you're going to want to do today is get some new clothes that don't draw so much attention to them. They're very dirty and muddy. There's lots of holes and tears in them. There's also some areas where you catch what appears to be like stains of brain matter. So, like, V looks like, when you observe V looks like somebody who's dug up a body or murdered somebody and buried them. So, like,
and then potentially
you know for sure that that's like on your to-do list today.
I seem like highest priority, probably.
But if there isn't anything the two of you wanted to discuss in private, you could head down. It's not really downstairs. I'm trying to do like a more accurate depiction of an inn. And inns and taverns in the real world weren't actually usually connected to each other. Their tavern sits like right outside the inn building. So you would go downstairs, you would exit out the back door, and you'd walk into the tavern.
Gotcha. So, Dad, what are you doing here?
Mostly, I was just leaving home, actually. At least for now.
Why? Something happened?
You could say that, yes.
Do I need to beat somebody up?
I don't think that would help our situation right now. But thanks for the offer.
If that changes, you let me know.
Will do. I think we should head out and see if our new friends are up yet. I do need to check on the one who had their throat slashed.
Yeah, she looked pretty fucked up yesterday. She looked worse than me.
Speaking of, we should probably get you at least clean clothes.
I'll look down. Yeah, that hasn't been very high on my priority list.
Yes, well, you will be amongst others here, so it will draw quite a bit of attention, I think, if you are this covered in dirt and brains.
Oh, we should get the money, right? That should buy some clothes.
Hopefully it will be enough to get something for you.
I'll pull out my bag and hold out the 20 demerks that I have. Yeah, Matt, give me 20. I'll go, is this enough for clothes?
Perhaps a cheap shirt, maybe?
You could probably get him a new set of clothes with around that amount of money. It's just not going to be very good clothes. It's going to look probably like loose on him. It's not going to be stylish or anything like that. But it'll be functional. You won't be able to replace his shoes. But I think you stole some boots in the last session, right? So technically he's got boots.
Partway there.
I mean, they could have been my boots. You just said I saw a pair of boots, so I grabbed them.
Or somebody else's boots, for sure. But now they're your boots, and that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Or some of those Nike pumps from the 90s, the ones where you pump the air into the...
A true classic.
With that, audience, pause this episode, go watch, what's that Mel Brooks movie? Robin Hood Men in Tights, and then come
back. Yes.
If you don't watch it already, you should watch it anyways.
Yeah.
This is really a Men in Tights campaign, don't worry. We're going to be singing songs in a few sessions.
Oh, God, you really want to expose people to that?
The two of you... No, I wasn't planning on doing that. I was considering doing a session at some point where you guys go to see a play and I write the stage performance and have people act out the parts. I think that would be cool. Anyways,
that would be fun.
You guys step out of the room. You knew where everyone else's rooms were. Now, when you were saying you wanted to check on her, were you saying you wanted to go to her room to check on her or wait for her to come to the tavern?
Probably best to check on her in her room.
Okay.
To make sure she's not dead in there.
Yeah. So the two of you. What are you talking about? It was just the shadows. Watching back. That's all. Don't worry about it.
I was personally concerned about the throat being cut open.
Yeah. Totally. That's definitely your only concern. You walk down to the door she was at, and as you go to knock at it, we cut to downstairs at the tavern, where it appears, Mr. Jensen Sharp, you are the first to arrive. You can see that older woman, the almost elderly woman, who's always kind of doting over the guests and trying to serve tables. Ethel, she is behind the bar stand currently. You also see that local hunter, the young man that you saw when you were in here the night before. He is sharing a drink with Hodge, who was also here the night before. Who had said you had overheard talking about like trading wares at the marketplace. The two of them are like the only customers in here, though. It is pretty early. Most people that can afford it are still sleeping, and the people that can't are already out working.
Yeah.
We're that awkward, not too rich, not too poor.
I mean,
we're the middle class in a society that
you're freelancers. Realistically, if you guys pooled all the money I gave you together, though, you would probably still be considered pretty poor because it wouldn't be enough to like own land, and you're basically poor if you don't own land at this time period. Well, you're basically poor if you don't own land now. So there you go. Not much has changed.
A lot more people are poor.
We traded nobility for capitalism, and it did not work out. What are you doing, Jensen?
I'm sitting with a mug of coffee with a 1,000-yard stare because he just could not sleep any longer. I'm pretty tired, but
coffee is a recent source of joy for you because coffee beans were actually discovered in Algamore and have been getting shipped back since the first colonists arrived there. But before that, you were just drinking tea, basically.
Yeah. I am savoring it. Each thing I would have paid more for it because I probably a little more expensive. I'd imagine.
When you order it, Ethel will laugh and as she's making it for you, and she'll turn to you and say, "And did you know they actually make it from beans? We're drinking beans."
Yes, it's I mean, it's basically hot water and beans, right?
She'll frown at you and she'll say, "Don't be giving out my secret recipes." And then she'll put it down.
I do apologize. Thank you. Excuse me. And I go and like because we were raining last night, we were outside. I hack a fat loogie, walk outside, spit outside, walk back in, sit back down.
All right. Make an awareness roll as you do that. As you step out and you do that.
Five.
How do you ping again?
Tab.
So you're like here.
Sure.
You've stepped out the back and you hawk this loogie and you're looking over in this direction.
I like stretch my belly out a little bit.
You see up here at the road, you see Herc talking to some men and then starting to kind of slowly meander his way down this way, which leads you to believe that he's on his way to come to talk to you guys as well.
More bean juice first, I think. And I'll walk back inside.
Cutting upstairs. Are you going to go grab your own booth and wait for them, basically? Or her?
Me? Yeah.
Cutting back upstairs. You hear a knock at your door.
She tenses, and then realizes someone may be checking up on her. She'll call out, just give me 20 minutes and I'll come out for breakfast.
Well, I suppose that answers my question then. Feeling all right?
It's your doctor. Yes, I'm a little worse for wear, but nothing that won't go away in a few weeks, or perhaps months. But yes, everything is fine for now, I suppose. We will talk more once I am out. I have some business to attend to first.
All right then. See you downstairs.
Indeed you will.
As the two of you reach the stairs, V, I take it you pull up your...
Oh, yeah.
You've got the hood.
I got the hood up.
And you pull it up, so it's basically just your eyes. And just like kind of a pale block of your skin, but that block doesn't have any stitches, so... Because your hair kind of falls over your forehead stitches for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of you step down. Turning the corner, you walk out into the covered tavern. You see the same thing. It looks like just Caleb and Hodge who are in conversation, and then sitting off to the side in one of the booths, you see Jensen nursing a mug of coffee, kind of holding your guys' spots.
I'll go sit across from Jensen.
I'll look up and I like jumps. Right, morning.
He can be surprisingly sneaky, no?
I don't want to be disrespectful. It's just it's early.
Jensen, as you say that, and you look across, and you look into his kind of pale eyes, they have like a slight cataracts effect, despite the fact that his vision has seemed fine to you. But you notice that as the pupils are moving and like dilating a little bit in V's eyes, his eyes never stay the same color, but they continuously fall back to this blood red color before they shift again. It's a very unnatural effect.
Okay. I will. Can I make a check to see if I've seen something like this before?
Yeah, make a lore roll. It's easy for you.
Make sure I remember what my lore is. Yeah, it's just.
Oh, really quick. Everyone who helped with the retelling gets a participation point, and they can spend that to make a roll easy.
Swoop.
So remember that.
I've been on the 4.
That was everyone but James, but I'm tempted to give it to James anyways because he probably would have helped if he hadn't been yelling
Fine.
at dogs the whole time.
It's cool.
So if you guys
I
are
was
cool with
gonna-
it, I'm going to give James one too.
Yeah.
So everybody has one.
Just this once, though.
And you got to use it before the end of the session too. Or unless we want to pool them like we were doing with D&D, we could do that. We'll pool them. You can only use one per session though. And we'll call them participation points because I miss elementary school. Cool?
Gold star.
Works for me.
When life was so much easier.
Gold star players.
Gold stars and demerits.
Gold stars, demerits, yeah. All right, anyways. So the two of you just take a seat. You guys don't want to order anything? She will probably come around eventually, but you know that, like, she's not really a waitress.
Have y'all ever tried coffee?
No.
Not quite to my taste.
All right, well, I'll take liberty. Eat before. Be like, 2 more coffees.
Coming right up, dear.
Thank you.
She sets to work.
I don't know if you'll like it, but if you don't drink it, I will.
Eventually, she comes around with the coffees. As she's coming around with the coffees, she sets a 4th one out and she says, in case your friend wants it as well, we'll have the bill up at the bar. And she'll head up there. And as she's clearing away, all of you can see to the left coming through the door, Charlotte.
She looks a little kind of tired and sluggish, but she'll come in and just kind of look around, scrutinizing the place, and then she'll spot all of you and come sit down and just kind of nestle in with a grunt. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you feeling this morning, miss?
Well, a bit worse for wear, but this isn't the first time I've knocked at death's door this year.
I'm surprised you're up already. It's true.
Yes, well, I had some timely matters to attend to after I woke up. I wanted to make sure I got them done before we set off for whatever it is we're doing today. Is this coffee?
Yes, would you like some?
I most certainly would. I've only had it
Oh,
twice,
no,
and I'll tell you it was not the best.
no, well, this is one of the better ones I had, surprisingly.
It is insanely bitter. She has put out goat's milk, which you can use with it.
It's better with the goat's milk.
There's also sugar.
And a lot of sugar.
I'll
Let's
kind of
see.
just lift up my mask, like covering up as much as I can, and take a sip.
Have you had coffee before, V? So,
No,
V,
but I also imagine the way I was thinking, most foods or drinks wouldn't really taste of anything. That's why I tend to eat brains and use like really
so
heavy
V,
spices. So
as because of your calling and the nature of your existence, you do have fairly dead taste buds, which means you generally need to spice things up a lot. However, this extremely bitter coffee, it hits because it is very bitter. And while most people would find that unpleasant, it's almost naturally more pleasant to you because you're always looking for like flavor of any kind.
You're right. This is good.
Oh, really? I did not expect to be right about that. Well, good on you. It's he'll like start to sip from a second glass thing and like cough a little bit. Forgot and get the goat milk and the sugar and add that shit to it first.
Charlotte,
You-
I'm sorry, really quick. Charlotte, have you started studying the papers at the
I think she would probably do that now-ish. I
Okay.
think she wanted to get her affairs in order.
Go ahead and make a study roll for me. Keep going. I apologize. I thought you were done talking. I don't know
You're
why.
fine. You're fine.
Read the room wrong. Continue.
I imagine, though, it seems like you like it without them. It's interesting.
It's got good, strong flavor.
No, that it does. You are right.
That is precisely what I did not enjoy about it.
It wakes you up when you've had a hell of a night.
Oh, you just reminded me. Thank you. And she'll reach into her pocket and take out the flask that she drank from yesterday. She'll take a swig of the whole thing and put the cap back on, just kind of, and she immediately just looks refreshed. She looks chipper. She doesn't look like she's
The
struggling to get
color comes back in her cheeks a little bit more.
Well, that just looked like it did better for you than coffee's ever done for me.
Oh, you have no idea. That being said, I think
Right.
may be in order, and she'll kind of gesture for you to pass the sugar and the milk.
Oh, yes.
What'd you get on your first study roll?
Let me roll.
Love the dice sound effect.
First one I got 6, unless I can use the magnifying glass.
You can definitely use the magnifying.
Okay. Oh, still 6.
But that makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as this discussion is happening, you start sorting through the documents. Basically, your first goal is to just figure out things that aren't useless, that feel pretty much useless to you, which is a lot of the papers on top. Eventually, you find a kind of bowed paper. You look at it, and you manage to put things to way down the corners, so it's open on the table for everyone to see. And it appears to be a hand-drawn map of the graveyard. It was folded into fourths, so it's the largest document that you found. And when you're looking at it, you notice that certain plots, which are numbered and kind of marked with lines, are circled and they're dated. Looking at these a little bit more, one of the things you realize, Charlotte, is some of these dates are in the future.
Yeah, she'll kind of look over them for a bit, kind of making sure that everyone can see as well, and she'll kind of run her fingers along the plots and the dates, and she'll say, some of these are in the future. Perhaps they had intended on going to these at a later date, a specific later date. And then she's going to look at V and she's going to say, you know this graveyard well, don't you? Do you have any idea what these plots may be, or at least any significance?
I'll take a look at it.
So, V, you recognize that some of the older dates, including dates for last night, match up to those dates. Those plots look like they match up on the map, the plot map of the graveyard, to the ones that you saw getting undug last night. So you know that because you've hid there during the day too, because you got there a couple nights before them. You know that there's a staff that works this graveyard, and it's organized. It's when people die, they don't just immediately land there and get buried in a random spot.
So it seems like these are very specific people that died that they're looking for.
Maybe. It doesn't look like that to you because there's enough dates on it that it seems like they're taking lots of different kinds of people. But they definitely know the dates of when a plot is going to get used. So what does that tell you? Is the real question. And I'm making you guys just decide what that tells you. I'm not telling you, but it's definitely an organized operation because only certain people would know the dates of when plots are planned to be used.
Definitely seems like whoever's at work here is in cahoots with other people around the town involved with the graveyard. Perhaps. Hmm, perhaps.
So, would I know roughly how many staff the graveyard had?
You saw at least 3 different people.
Okay.
There's a couple guys that are older that work there that dig and do like the bodies, put the bodies in when the service is done. A lot of people are still being buried naturally at this time period because they don't have the money for a grave. So, which honestly is better for the environment, so good for them. But let's be real, it's much better for the environment, so good for them. But and some people were being buried. It looks like they weren't. That determination that wasn't part of determining what graves they targeted. They hit both kinds. As the party's kind of considering these details, you're peeling further. You find another piece of paper. This one has a sketch of a church in a boggy clearing. It looks like it's more or less surrounded by trees. And next to it, you see something written. Do you want to, if you would like to read it to the party, it is in the PC chat. Because you're the ones reading this.
Let's see here. This is interesting. Follow the scarecrow's path that wanders past nature's bubbling yawn. Stop at the fork and walk the forlorn steps. Should you best the tricky shadows, the place of prayer you will find. Don't strike me as the sort to use riddles, but perhaps this is some sort of code they all use to get messages between each other. Certainly interesting.
I've never been too good at riddles.
Would any of those names or places have meant anything to me, having been here a couple of days? Like, do they sound like they're local landmarks of some kind?
Make an awareness roll. Let's see how much information you've picked up while you're here.
I assume that last line is probably talking about that chapel, right? The one you got a picture of right there?
Most certainly. Although I'm not sure that most people in this town would even remember that it's there, or know it all.
What's
7.
that?
Not bad for a 6 and a 4.
Yeah, no, that's not bad at all. You're not listening and picking up information isn't necessarily part of your skill set, but you're smart enough to know, like, it's good to know what people are talking about. Investigating the details of that, not necessarily your forte. But one thing that's interesting to you is since you met them last night, there's been a lot of mentions of this old church, but you've never heard anybody in town talk about an old church. You have heard people in town talk about an old well, and you actually believe that's here in the town somewhere. And it's like not a useful source of water anymore. But you haven't heard anybody talk about an old church.
Okay.
You have heard people talking about the Whispering Woods, which is where you guys found the mill last night. Most people stay out of there, especially after dark, unless they're gonna like make their livelihood off hunting. And there's lots of stories about the old woods, but keep in mind, like, humans in this world have evolved more or less the same as humans in our world. It's one of the reasons why it's like fairly low fantasy for a setting. And like at this time period, there's still a lot of parents who live in these kind of areas that are telling their kids like crazy nightmarish stories to try to keep them from wandering to the woods at night and dying from something dangerous. Like wolves in general are still like a huge problem out here.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's probably not even the only thing. I should probably look up other scary predators that are in the UK because that's more or less what this area is. But like wolves are definitely like a big problem still.
Well, I'll pass. So I've never heard anybody talk about an old church, which means I don't think it'd be well known. But there was an old well. somewhere.
Could it have been attached to a church? And maybe we might try to see if there's some ruined pieces of a building around it. Maybe it was there.
This is just the skeptic in me talking, but it could also be that this place of prayer is not a church at all. After all, people do tend to make wishes in wells, do they not? But perhaps I'm reaching. Either way, we'll have to follow this riddle to see what's out there, but we should be prepared for both. Would I know of any... I mean, I just got here, but, do we know of any farms that are off kind of in that direction?
This town services, a larger area that has several farms. They're kind of stretched between the different pockets of woodlands. And a lot of times, this is an area where people will meet for, festivals and stuff. So there's definitely farms, in pretty much every direction.
Well, it might be a good place to start by searching the nearby farms. After all, those would be the most likely to have scarecrows. But we may just have to get lucky.
Matt, with me having been here for a couple of days, and I probably would have been trying to figure out how to stop animal attacks, since fighting animals seemed like the, job that best suited my skills.
I'm just picturing you naked punching wolves in the forest. I don't know why. You're just always going to be naked.
Don't reveal the Dances with Wolves sequel, Matt.
Yeah. You know that scene in 300 where he's 10 years old and he's got the loincloth on and there's a wolf chasing him?
But I imagine I would have been doing some exploring in the woods. Would I have come across anything else that I think might have, maybe there's a path that seemed more traveled than just a random hunter path?
Because you had had to spend a lot of time setting up your initial base and stuff, you probably didn't get that much time to explore the woods if you also wanted to check out the town a little bit. But I will say this. There was one night in particular where you ventured out a little bit and you did see a wolf. And it was not like any wolf you had ever seen before. It was larger. It seemed ferocious. And one of the things about it was acting aggressive, even though it was on its own. Which is very strange behavior for a wolf.
Yeah. Would I remember generally where that was to bring them back to?
Make an awareness roll. Make an awareness roll. It is difficult.
Well, what's difficult for it? Because
it just means I'm ticking it up. It's gonna be very hard for you to meet this one, but we'll see if you do.
3. That means it, right?
No, it definitely wasn't incidental. Oh, one of the things I changed, by the way, if you guys go to the rules after the last session, is instead of challenge levels, I gave them names. And hopefully that will be less confusing. We'll see how it goes.
All right.
You're still kind of peeling through the papers as they're discussing.
What, Miss Charlotte, what would make a pathway forlorn? Isn't that sad, right? Sometimes my English is not so good. But sad and lonely, right? What makes a path that way?
That's certainly accurate. I would imagine a path less traveled, perhaps one with bad associations, or at least negative ones.
Like stories.
I'll have been trying to think real hard about where the place is and just give up and go, well, I found this place that had this really big, hyper-aggressive wolf that tried to attack me on its own.
Didn't you say you saw another creature in there when you were in the cage?
Did, and it was bigger than a wolf, but smaller than a bear.
Which technically this wolf that you saw was, because it was bigger than a normal wolf.
Because it was bigger than a wolf.
Well, they could be one and the same. Or perhaps there's more than one.
What would them grave robbers need with a gigantic wolf?
Definitely
I don't know,
seems
but it wasn't natural.
definitely seems unnatural to me. I think removing the brains was not the end goal of their operation. Speaking of which,
Though I
Right.
did hear some people say that they preferred the dead. Maybe that's why it was aggressive towards me.
certainly an interesting angle. Look at
Anybody
this.
that tells you that they prefer the dead is someone you should probably not take lightly.
I'm gonna slide a note out from some of the pages onto like the map, and kind of straining to look at it, I'll say, there's a note here. It says, "Take 2 men with you and go to the old well at night. We need to move the body somewhere else. He'll take it and bury it in Old Lambeth for all I care. Just get it out of here before that buffoon Herc accidentally stumbles upon it, and we have another suspicious investigator to remove from this game of ours."
Oh well, Perk has got himself a bigger problem than he thought he did. What it sounds like.
Wonder how many people in this town know of Old Lambeth. Could be worth asking. Might be able to pick up some local stories that could lead us to a forlorn path of sorts. At least they might point us in the right direction.
There's probably a reason it's considered Old Lambeth. Run down, maybe too many of them stories caught up with the town's reputation. I think if that's a good call, it's probably straight down Forlorn Path.
Could also be that church and well are all that's left of Old Lambeth, but I suppose we won't know until we get there.
Oh, also, we're about to be interrogated, probably. Them buffoons from the note were outside looking like they wanted to come in here after their investigation we sent them all last night.
The door swings open and Herc steps in.
I'm gonna
Impeccable
immediately
timing.
like fold up everything and put it in my
Okay.
my bag.
All right. One thing you guys should be thinking about from that is whoever was writing at least some of those notes does not see Herc as an ally.
Yeah.
So, he pulls his hat down. Well, that might be a good thing for you guys. It's a bad thing possibly for Herc though. He pulls his his leathered hat off, and he looks around, and his eyes fall on you, and he turns to Ethel and he says, "Ethel, just something strong for everybody at the booth." And he's gonna grab a seat and walk over, and he's gonna flip it so the back's facing you guys and haunch down on it. He looks tired, like he did not get any sleep last night.
Morning, Constable.
I'm glad to see all of you are up and about.
You have a rough night?
Well, we did a full investigation of that location. It does appear that you have caught our culprits, and for that, the council thanks you. And he pulls out a pouch and he sets it down on the table. If one of the more studious of you would like to count it, that is your 200 demarks. Split however you choose.
I will double check then for us.
You start counting.
Hey, thank you for holding up your end of the bargain.
I'd start counting it out in 4 piles to
Sure.
split it.
It is actually in the coats, which are the next step up in the currency. So just another thing, another random word to confuse you guys. Don't worry about it.
How do you spell that?
DECOTES. And they are
they're group session 0, chapter 0.
I need to put a doc in that you guys can read. But there were 10 demarks each. So
yeah,
simple currency. Don't worry, I'm not actually basing it off English currency, where it's one's worth 12, one's worth 16. It's super random. So it's actually it was 200 demarks, so it's 20 coats.
That's easy. 5 Dakotas.
As you're counting that out, he'll say, Councilman Neely had asked me to check in, see if there's anything else all of you remembered from last night that could be useful to me and the rest of the men, and just also ask if there was anything you need. It sounds like the carriage that all of you came in on that was planning to continue to Aethergarde after stopping here is going to be in repair for the next few days.
Well, how's about you tell us where the holes are in your investigation? Maybe we might be able to fill some of them.
Yes, we were just going over the details of last night over breakfast, but we're also trying to think about where our next move was, at the very least. We'd like to continue searching, probably on our own, so that our numbers are smaller.
Make insight rolls.
All of us?
You make a study roll as you're sorting the coats for everybody.
Six.
All right.
13.
Awesome.
Also 6.
Also, if this is to determine if he's lying, it's an easy check for me.
Oh, okay, cool. 8 for the study. Okay. So he doesn't appear. He gets kind of, I don't know. There's something about his energy that just gets like more awkward. As you guys bring up helping more, and he kind of, unfortunately at this point, I believe this matter to be one that needs to be handled quietly and privately for the sake of the citizens of Lambeth Hollow. As such, I have been instructed to thank all of you again for your help, but please ask that you try to keep from getting in any more trouble while you're here. He gets kind of tight-lipped as he finishes that. It doesn't feel like this is coming from him.
I'll kind of look around at everybody kind of nonchalantly and say, well, it looks like we can go about our business then.
I'm not hiding the massive smirk on my face. I'm staring at him.
He'll kind of nod when everyone else just stays quiet, and he'll say, is there anything else all of you needed from me, though? Councilman Neely wanted me to impress upon all of you that we are very appreciative of what you have done.
I bet he is.
I need new clothes. Where do I go for that?
I would consider checking with Hodge. I think he just left here to set up his trade stand in the market. Unfortunately, the market's activity has been low. People haven't been traveling into Hollow as much since the animal attacks have gotten more frequent.
I don't suppose, Constable, that you would be denying me the ability to converse with some townsfolk about various topics related to the region. For my writing, of course. That is why I'm here, after all.
He shakes his head and he says, I don't see any issue with that at all.
Excellent. Well, a little personal investigation of my own seems to be in order then. You are all welcome to join me if you like, but I'm sure you have your own business to attend to. Looking around at everybody.
I'll look down at my clothes.
Yes, we have a bit of a shopping trip for this one.
I don't really have shit to do, actually. I might join you, Miss Charlotte, if that's okay with you.
I might like that, actually. You're certainly welcome to come with me.
Be my pleasure.
Well, I won't take up any more of your time. Your coffees are on me. And he'll stand up and he'll start to walk away, and then he'll stop and he'll kind of turn on his heels and he'll look at you, Charlotte, and he'll say, if one wanted to know more about outside of the town proper, I would recommend the Rangers station. And then he turns and he walks out.
Such a nice man.
That felt... You got a 13 on the insight check? That felt pretty directed. He was trying to be casual about it, but...
Yeah.
It kind of felt like somebody trying to slip you information.
Gotcha.
Well, that certainly felt like someone was elbow deep up what our good constable's ass, did it not?
Oh, certainly did. I would imagine that the constable is knee-deep in his own matters as well. It seems he's found himself in a rather precarious situation. One that I think we've found ourselves in as well.
Seeing as what happened to you when you were left by yourself last night, I figured it was best to make sure that everyone knew that you were going to have somebody with you, Miss Charlotte. So don't mean anything by it.
Much appreciative of it, Jensen.
And I'm just curious, if I'm being honest.
Should we meet somewhere for meal or something? Compare. Get on the same page.
Perhaps we could meet back here for lunch, or perhaps if there's another establishment. Maybe one
Honestly,
with-
I would like to find somewhere else to eat.
Yes, perhaps a place with tablecloths.
What are tablecloths?
Exactly.
Josh, you get another participation point for roleplay. You
Tablecloth.
can only use one a session.
I'm gonna just kind of check that I have everything with me. And,
So we're splitting the party.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. All right, so here's what I think we should do.
Investigation trip.
I think we should put your guys' pieces where you're going in the town first.
Okay. That's a good idea. Where are we going first, Miss Charlotte?
Where
Station?
the market with the where I would find the clothes?
I would recommend we think about this. So if you guys are traveling from down here up, you might want to consider what locations you could even hit together before you
That's
split
true.
up.
That's true.
I think what I'd like to do is start at the visitor center, see if there's some
Yeah.
general information that they give to all travelers. That is definitely something I would be interested in. From there, perhaps we can all go to the market. The two of you can do your shopping, and Jensen and I can work on getting the local rumors. And then we can perhaps head up north to the ranger station afterwards, and the two of you are free to come with if you are still not busy.
That sounds good to me.
All right, so you guys are heading up to the visitor center first.
I'm gonna go take a shit first before I get
That bean juice runs right through me. Go ahead and make awareness rolls as the three of you are waiting for him to come back from taking a dump.
taking a shit. Yes.
Shit
So
roll?
good at D&D.
Shit roll?
Make a
roll.
brawn check, James.
Make a Constitution roll for me. You are trying to prevent a hemorrhoid.
6
This
for
is
awareness.
how you get views.
I'm just giving you shorts opportunities.
Chris, cut that.
8.
8?
I also got an 8.
I got a 6.
Unless I'm looking for secret doors.
Are you?
Oh, I mean, I always
An 8.
but not specifically right now.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is I'm smelling how terrible it smells in here.
What did everybody else get? We got an 8. We got a 6, I think.
6.
6.
Another 8.
Another 8. Okay. So the visitor center clearly has a normally welcoming entrance. But as all of you are walking up, you realize that entrance has been boarded up. So have several of the windows. It appears that some kind of break-in happened here. Probably last night. That or it's storm damage. As all of you kind of hover around that area, it's pretty dead in the little center circle of the town where the fountain is. A few other things you guys notice is one, the fountain runs slightly sporadically. like the water isn't consistently running, and there's definitely some like dry parts of it that should be puddled at least. But there's definitely like either mechanical issues with the fountain or something going on with the water source. Additionally, Charlotte, as you kind of peer around the sides of the buildings, you notice that it looks like at the back of the building there's the visitor center, there's a cellar door that's been chained and locked with a padlock. And additionally, as you walk up the other side of the building, you kind of cock your head and you kind of peer at that side wall of the structure that makes up kind of like the alleyway backside of like the houses in this area. And you realize that it's been pretty freshly painted or cleaned, but there's slight stains of blood.
What is this on?
This is on like the side of the building as you're following like the broken windows around. There's like, in fact, not only is it stained of blood, but it looks like somebody either tried to clean up or paint over a handprint that was probably made in blood.
I'll point those things out to everybody without saying too much out loud. Just kind of direct everyone's attention over there.
They were painting over it?
Not very well, it seems. They've also
Why
got
not
this.
just wash it away?
Perhaps it was not that easy. They've also got a cellar blocked up.
Looking at it, would I be able to guess if it was roughly the same size hand as the creepy sack guy?
That'd be pretty difficult to do, but I'll let you try. Anybody who wants to study the handprint area, just make a study roll.
I'll do that.
I'm gonna look on the ground for any evidence left over of potentially some glass or some wood like chips. You know,
make a study roll as well, or an awareness.
Hey, I did the best I could. 12.
I got an 8 for study roll, and this trick is easy for me.
Okay. Both you, V, it's definitely, and you're noticing this as well, Charlotte. It is definitely a handprint that was probably an adult and a male. It's a human handprint, obviously.
Yeah.
As to be expected. Pretty much everybody in this is human, though. Even if their lineage is something more fantasy. As you guys are looking at that, you also notice that there's a small, like, cord-cinched sack sitting on the ground near where there's like a belt. That's like a simple leather belt that somebody had been using to like hold up their pants or something that snapped off and fell there. So that is sitting on the ground. Additionally, off a good pace away, Jensen, you find a bloody dagger sitting in a bush. The blade is broken.
Yeah, I was following it, like maybe like looking around to see which way would be the quickest to go find cover from this building. And I walked that way, and I'll bend down and look and see the glint and say, oh, well. I'll pick it up and walk back to the group. Actually, I'll take a handkerchief and pick it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of use the end of my cane to like try to push the pouch over and get it open.
Okay. You push it over and you use the end of the cane to like push the knot off, and you see what looks like a loose. Yeah, you're not sure how many, but like a loose roll of like Demark's coins falls out of this. So it had like probably like a dozen of those in it. You also notice that amongst them spills out a silver ring that looks to be decently well crafted. It doesn't have any like precious gems in it. It's like a silver band, but it has like some metal work to it. It's not like a simple silver band. It looks like a knot that's going like all the way around, kind of like knotted rope. And there's also a folded note.
Okay. Not touching the ring. I will pick the note out though and unfold it.
She's been playing D&D too long.
Mm-hmm.
I have sent you what is on it.
I'll pick up the ring and start looking at it.
Excellent.
Make a study roll. Study skill test.
So 3.
It's just the silver band, like I described. It kind of looks like it kind of looks like a Celtic or a Gaelic band that's been carved all the way around it into the silver. It's definitely real silver though.
I'll like look at it over my finger. Like, how much smaller is it?
It's too small for your fingers for sure.
Like a lot smaller?
Oh yeah,
a lot. Okay.
yeah.
I'll go. Here, Dad. This might be your size, and I'll hand him the silver ring.
I'll look it over.
Sure, make a study roll. Do you want to read the note to them?
Yeah, just let me know when that would be a good time.
9.
I just replayed it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that you had that level of control. Cool. I'm just gonna set it to repeat for now because this is nice and calm. Walking through the village during the day music. I don't know. Also, I paid for the license for everything that this guy mixes out of, so I can just kind of like freely use his stuff for background music because that's why he uploads it.
Nice.
As long as that license is paid, so that's nice.
It was a 9 study on the ring.
Yeah, you're not noticing any other details either. It looks like on the inside it may have had a name imprinted on it at one point, but it's mostly worn away.
You said looks to be made of silver?
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely a real silver.
Well, at the very least, it's at least somewhat valuable.
This would probably fit one of your fingers also.
I am not going to wear it, though.
Yeah, that's totally fine. More I'm telling you, like, despite the fact that it was like way too small for his fingers, it's still like sized for an adult. Who's sitting on rolls? Oh, wait, actually, Stella, you go.
Yeah. She'll unfold the note and kind of look at it, like kind of do that like older person thing where they kind of like, and then she'll shake her head and she'll take her little like half moon spectacles out of her like the coat pocket, and she'll say, "Well, now this is certainly interesting." It says here, they will be distracted by the graveyard this evening. I think the boss hopes that if all goes well, he will have captured that new monster he was mentioning. Look for it in a locked case, and remember it must be intact. Let no one see you take it. We don't think the villagers understand its importance. She'll kind of look around at everything that we found, and she'll say, something doesn't smell right to me here. Either whoever's been involved in this operation is a buffoon, to use their own words, or they want these clues to be found. Something about this seems a bit too obvious to me.
It does seem like many of the people here seem determined to sabotage their own way of life.
Stream's frozen for everybody else.
It was, yeah. Well, either way, I don't think it hurts to... I don't think it would hurt to continue following this path for now. At the very least, it'll turn up more clues. But perhaps this is a situation where we should not look a gift horse in the mouth.
As you fold the note and you kind of kneel back down one more time, Charlotte, you can pretty clearly see just off of the area where the handprint hit the wall, that there's like a trail of blood and broken underbrush leading around to that cellar door that you saw.
Yes, I'm starting to think the former theory was correct. I think they might just be unaware of how many breadcrumbs they're leaving. Well, let's carry on then. I don't think we should get into that cellar. Something tells me it'll be too obvious. Oh, looking around, how many people are out today?
There's no one else like walking through this area where the fountain is, but you do see a couple people passing by outside the front of the town hall. The market has a little bit of activity, and also as you're standing over here, you notice down here by the entrance to the village green, you see Ethel kind of like waddling her way into the village green.
Not a very busy day, it seems, which is good in our favor. I definitely think there's something else here to find, but perhaps we follow the trail for now.
It would be in the daytime, going in through the cellar. It would hard to not be noticed if somebody did pass by. That's one thing you're thinking for sure.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec, I'll be right back.
Well, if we need to get in there, we can do so this evening.
Especially if the, what would it be called? Like the town guard? What do they call themselves?
They're the constabulary.
Constabulary. So say, well, if the constabulary are out and about again tonight on their investigation, it would certainly make it easier. We might keep an ear out for their plans. Perhaps they'll mention something about where they plan to go tonight.
Why don't we just go in now?
It is quite likely we would be seen, and we don't want that to happen. We are not supposed to be investigating.
Okay.
It is most certainly true. We could get in trouble simply by being here. Suffice to say, she's gonna pick up the pouch and put it in her bag with the other documents. I'll consider this personal evidence for now.
Yes, we should move on here before they notice we are spending some time.
Where would the party like to head to next?
Market.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, as all of you enter the market, go ahead and make awareness rolls.
Got a 10.
I max out at 10. 7.
Hey, also a 10.
The market is quiet and nearly empty, other than a small group. It looks like a father and his teenage son walking away from Hodge. Hodge is a shorter man. Hodge has got a kind of a limped gait. It looks like he was injured in one of his knees at some point in his life, and he has a back that's just slightly humped. But nevertheless, despite these physical ailments, he seems quite happy in his work and pretty positive, despite the fact that it doesn't look like there's a lot of business today. His cart is rolled out. His small, kind of thin horse is sitting to the side eating some hay, and he is sitting amongst his things. It looks like he trades in all kinds of stuff. He's not the kind of person that's gonna be stacked with weapons and armor and that kind of thing. He mostly trades in goods that are helpful to people who are traveling on the road. And he kind of smiles as he sees all of you, and he says, Hey, they finally come to see my wares. I like it. How can I help you today?
I need clothes.
Absolutely. For a big man like yourself, I have just the set. And he'll like run around the side of his cart and he'll come out with what appears to be like a decent fit of clothes. You shouldn't need any alterations with this, but it might be a little bit loose around the waist. Throwing a belt with that, actually. There you go. And just
I'll-
put it on top of it.
I'll take a look at it. Does it include a new like cloak with the hood?
No, you're gonna have to keep your trench.
Okay.
But
That's
you're
fine.
out of all your things, your trench is like the thing that's the most.
Intact.
It's weathered, but like it's the best design to like be intact and look good. So, because it's
Okay.
it's like leather.
And is my mask any janky, or does it look fine too?
Your mask is probably the next thing that you want to replace.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
picturing
ask him
it
if
as
he-
more or less just like a bandana that you cut for yourself.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
He'll nod and he'll say, "Aye, yes, I'd have something for that too. I'll tell you what, for the mask and the clothes, 20 demarks."
Done. I'll hand him the 20 demarks.
Welcome back, James. I hope all is well. Can you hear us? All right, cool. He'll nod and he'll look to the rest of you and he'll say, "And I've got plenty of other things that would help you too. I've got a compass, or perhaps you need an oil can for your lanterns, or even a lantern. I've got to find one in right now. I've got some slungs of rope, should they be needed on your travels. Even one affixed with a grappling hook. Let's see. Other random things I've picked up on the way. This rather ornate silver dagger here." He'll hold it up. He'll say, "Torches if you need to go into some scary cave or through the Whispering Woods at night. Though I don't recommend it. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems as though things have gotten dangerous around here lately."
It is quite awful. What do you make of all this happening here? We've only just arrived, and it seems to be in a sorry state.
Yes, I can't say much, but I will say this. With this many people shaking in their boots, I expect that it's something. Well, I don't quite know what to say. I don't know what to believe. If I had to guess, he kind of looks to either side and he leans in. Witchcraft.
We've all heard the stories, of course, but I mean, you don't really believe in that sort of thing, do you? I think it's more just some grave robbers and some shady money laundering.
Well, I will say this. Grave robbers and shady money laundering is not being used to make the wolves so large and aggressive. And I heard that even a bear up north was being particularly dangerous, deeper into the Whispering Woods. If you had to ask me, I'd say that probably some covens set themselves up in Old Lambeth or something.
That would certainly be awful, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Speaking of covens, I did recently pick up some natural healing remedies, if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Well, no, that
Healing
is-
poultices from a woman who claimed to be a druid. Don't know if it's true enough, but I will tell you, I tested one on myself, and it healed me right up. And also ginger root, of course. I actually think there's some science to that, but I have three stalks of ginger root, actually.
Well, you have my attention on those at least. I used to be a healer back in the day. I've dabbled a little bit with medicinal herbs and things like that. Doesn't hurt to have some on hand. I've actually got some already, but it seems my supply is running low ever since I got here.
Dare, make
Look
a
to take a
natural
look.
sciences roll.
Also, I don't suppose you have any scarves of any kind.
Actually, I do, miss. I have this one. It's printed with dandelions.
How pleasant. I'll take it. And the lantern.
And the lantern.
7.
Oh, that would be 7 demarks. Did you need the oil can as well? It's a whole gallon.
Oh no, I think I've got some left over.
He'll not. What'd you get?
7.
James is doing crazy over here.
You damn, you can hear that?
Yeah, you need push to talk, bro. You need the magic
Or just super finely tune your mic.
or
like
super
I did.
finely tune your mic. That's the only way you're going to get rid of the dogs. Oh, you know what else I have? I have a kite. He smiles. What did you get on your roll? I apologize.
7.
7. You would know that ginger root does have some natural. It's not really healing properties, but it can help with pain. And you would know that the mechanical effect, based upon that roll, you would know that a creature can spin their deed to chew on a ginger root, and it removes 1 wound from their wound threshold. So if they have a wound, they can remove a wound by doing that. That effect only works on a creature once per long rest, though. So you can't just keep chewing ginger roots to get rid of wounds. Basically, it just nullifies the pain so you can keep going. You could make a roll. Make for the other thing he was talking about, Charlotte. Make a lore roll. Said he had healing poultices.
Yeah, that definitely would have caught my attention.
You're actually looking at them now, and they're banded, wrapped leaves that appear to have some kind of mixed liquid inside of them.
I got a 13.
13.
I'll just be kind of studying on them.
So it looks like these are in fact healing poultices, which would tell you that Charlotte, that would tell you, because you're not just explaining all of this to them automatically. That would tell you that he met somebody who sold some actual healing poultices to him, which is not a natural scientific device. And you would also know mechanically, based on that roll, that you can spend a break to fix a poultice to a wound, and it ends any conditions that wound is applying, and it removes a wound from that creature's health wound threshold. So it removes a wound if you're injured, and it stops a condition if you're being affected by a condition.
Have I ever run into or used any of these in my travels?
Make a lore roll.
How much for these poultices?
Oh, well, you see, those are a little bit rare to find.
Certainly.
I'd be looking for, I'd say, 40 demarks for each.
Sounds about right.
And that's some very fresh ginger root. Of course, the ginger root, I'd be looking for 5 apiece. What'd you get on your roll?
I'm going to see Jensen scrutinizing this and kind of start keeping an eye on him.
Sure. Yeah, you've seen these before. You have been provided these by the lodge in previous times of need.
Sure.
Jensen does seem to recognize these healing poultices as well.
I'm going to look at you, Jensen, and say, are you familiar with these as well? Certainly not common sight.
They are not common. It's not like I have come across them in everyday life, but yes, I have used some and come across others before. And he'll pick one up and kind of scrutinize it for another 10 seconds. I mean, they look legit.
I want you both to keep in mind that both of your characters have probably never met anybody outside of your backstories that knows what these are.
This is certainly a find for us today.
You know what they are then too. Oh, I guess I should ask character. You seem to have come across them as well. It's interesting. There's not many outside of, a hunter that would have seen these before.
I've seen one or two pass my desk a few times. Many, many years ago, of course. I'll look at the men. I'll take the both of them. And I'll throw in a few extra demarks if you wouldn't mind telling me some more information about this druid that you met and where she might have gone.
I'm sorry, can you ask that question one more time?
She'll say, I'll take both of these poultices, and I'll throw in a few extra demarks for you if you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit more about this druid? Perhaps her name or where she's gone to?
Oh, yes. Well, she doesn't much like to be advertised. You see, I helped her once on the road, so she's taken kind of a special liking to me, and I get what I can from her, because I know it would aid people in the town, but you see, the council folk, they look down on these kinds of outsiders, usually, so it
Yes,
really would not be in her best interest to spread her information, but I will say this. If you see a bluebird in the Whispering Woods, you're nearby.
Oh,
And that's not a riddle, I mean a literal bluebird, which you don't
So-
see up here very often. From the
so
south,
she's
really.
so she stays close by then. That's
You can't even imagine how long it would take a bluebird to get here from where they're from. Unladen would be quite a while. Most likely laden, even longer.
yes, their unladen speed is quite slow. Well, thank you for the information, and yes, I'll take the 2 poultices.
Absolutely. And what about that ginger root for your friend?
I'll look at the doctor and say, Doctor, would you like these for your bag there?
Well, it could not hurt.
Um,
Be beneficial.
Be 15 for all 3.
I'm gonna pay him 85 for the 2 poultices. I'm throwing in the 5 extra for the info.
Okay. Yeah.
You seem to know these parts a little bit too. You said something about an old Lambeth. Now that I don't think I heard much about that. Is there? What can you tell us about that? This is Lambeth Hollow, right? Why isn't it just called New Lambeth?
Oh, well, I mean, it's... Well, the stories are that, some time ago, several generations, that this was not actually the original site of Lambeth Hollow. It was north in the Whispering Woods. But who knows if that's true or not, really. It's just some old stories, like ghost stories, that kind of thing. Werewolves, none of that exists. What we really should be worrying about, he looks around, is the witches.
Yes, you have very much told us your feelings about a said coven. I make it a point to find out the stories and the whisperings about any town I go to, and I can't seem to find out much about these stories from people. I would very much appreciate if you had more details for me. I'll put 5 marks on the table for him.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't really know anything myself other than some peculiar animal sightings, but I will say this, the woods at night north of here, if you go deep enough, they do seem to start to whisper back to you, like a siren's call. Dragging travelers in. I don't know what them witches do to them, but I know they're witches. It just seems like a woman's work.
Well, be a little more respectful, I'd say, with the lady in the present. But
No offense taken, Jensen.
it's all right. Yeah, I just story. You'd be surprised what you think about a story at the beginning and where it takes you by the end, and how much of the story is actually
Well, if you want to hear some good stories, you're in the right place. You're just not talking to the right person. You should find Ethel Grimm. She'll tell you some stories. She's been around here a long time. Her family's been here even longer.
I think on the way here, I spotted her heading down to the gardens or whatever it is south of here.
Yes,
Perhaps-
the village green. We used to use that for assemblies sometimes, but ever since Neely took the head chair, it's all just been at the town hall. Not much for the outsides, I guess, that Mr. Neely. Kind of a stick in the mud, if you know what I mean.
Are there any stories involved with the village green that might have scared him away?
I don't think it's that. I think Mr. Neely just very much wishes for Lambeth Hollow to become something greater than it is. You see, Aethergarde is growing, and it will soon be a race for villages like this, I would imagine, to become larger cities like Aethergarde has, this industrialization that they speak of in the papers. And I do think that Neely would very much like Lambeth Hollow to be at the forefront of that race, if possible. He's an ambitious man. Speaking of which, if you're going to be going into those woods at night, you really should consider this compass.
Oh, you certainly seem to know an awful lot about this place. I don't think it would be unwarranted for us to pick this up. What do you say? I'll look around at everybody.
While they were all having that conversations and everything, could I have found a place to change? Like,
yeah, you just walk around back of the cart.
Yeah, that as long as it's fairly well out of sight of anybody who could be passing by.
Yeah, it's an awkward place to change, but it's the most out of sight you're gonna get. So.
Yeah, I'll just go back there and I'll just strip down and change.
We cut to the other side. We see him starting to change. We cut back.
I would not mind an upgrade on my own compass. It seems like you're insistent, and whether that's just a play to make me buy something or a true helpfulness, I'll take it.
He'll nod to you and he'll hand it to you and he'll say 5 Demox.
Thank you, Captain. And I'll put 5 more down after the 5 I gave him earlier.
He scoops the 10 up and he pockets it and he says, "And unfortunately, I cannot do any refunds on that one, but I do feel like it is my honor-bound duty to tell you that the drunken man that lost it to me in a card fight said it was possessed by an evil pirate captain." That being said,
that sounds like the most interesting piece of story you told me so far.
That being said, I haven't noticed anything about it. It actually works quite well. I always know where north is.
Seems no less plausible than witches and covens, but suppose there's more to Lambeth Hollow than we know of at first glance.
Yes. Careful, though, in old Lambeth. If you find Ethel, I'm sure she could tell you some scary stories.
Yes, perhaps we'll have to pay her a visit. We did see her at the tavern, but perhaps a longer conversation is in order, and a formal meeting.
I recommend it. Now, if there's nothing else I can help you with today, he looks around and he says, "Where's your friend?"
Oh, I assume he's trying to...
Out changed at this time.
Yeah.
I'll just come back around the corner in just the new clothes with the same hood and mask pulled up.
There you
And
are.
I'll go, "Do you have any old maps of this area?"
No, unfortunately not. I do believe that there were some that they display in the visitor center. That's all I know of, though.
Yes.
I went there once. It was really quite boring, and they charge you a Democ at the door.
Does anybody live in the visitor center?
I do believe that there's a man who lives there. I don't know his name, but he's kind of like the on-site attendant.
Has it been recently broken into? It looks like there's some structural damage.
I did notice that when I was riding my cart through the square, but I had just attributed it to the storm from the night before. I heard some of the township homes were hit as well.
It's a shame.
Yes, it was a wild one. You know what they say. Maruvian must die.
It seems... So you would say that the visitor center is still open then? They haven't closed it for repairs?
I do believe that they had put a closed sign on the door, but I wouldn't know. Like I said, it's really not worth the Democ.
Perhaps we'll check it out tomorrow.
Not when you can get that addictive bean juice for a Democ down at the... Did you know that that's beans, by the way? We're drinking beans.
We did, yes.
It's so funny to me.
I didn't know that.
Is there anything else I can do for all of you?
I think I've got everything I need. I'd like to continue my rounds.
Remember, when your fins pass through Lambeth Hollow, send them to Hodge.
You've been mighty helpful.
And as you guys step away from his cart, what do you discuss about where you'd like to go next?
Well, I'd certainly like to check out the ranger station. I wouldn't mind having someone with me, just in to kind of readjust the scarf, the new scarf, just in case, after all. But I don't think we all need to go. unless you wish to.
Do you want to check if the visitation center's actually closed? Did we notice walking past it, or did we walk, like,
there was no
behind it?
activity there, and the door was shut. The door that would be like the welcoming entrance was shut. So you're pretty sure it's closed.
Okay, never mind.
We should probably figure out whether the, what was left behind is this man that lives at the visitor center. Hopefully, maybe ask around about that. I would like to go to the ranger session, though.
I go where he goes. I'm gonna point to Dara.
Well, if you two are going to the ranger station, perhaps we will find this Ethel.
You
See
two
what
want to
we
head
can
down to the
find out
village
about
green?
Old Lambeth.
Yes, I think that makes just enough sense. I would like to speak to Ethel at some point. Perhaps get a different sort of conversation going. But I'd love to hear your opinion on her, Doctor.
Well, as soon as we meet up again, I will let you know.
All right. So, V and Dr. Dare are going down to the village green. And the two of you begin to head up the road. And as the party splits to further investigate the village, I think we should take our break. Let's try to be back by 8:10, 8:15 at the latest. As the two of you are leaving the market, you see your allies heading south to the village green. You guys reach around this area. Go ahead and make awareness rolls.
Got a
8.
7.
8.
Looking over towards the town hall, you see outside the entrance, you see Councilman Neely. He appears to be saying some harsh words to the attendant, who then nods to him, walks into the town hall, and closes the door, and then starts closing the windows as well. And then Neely kind of... and he turns and he looks across the circle at all of you, and he just kind of curtly nods, and then he starts to walk this way, like he's going towards the council house.
Boy, it does look like our good Councilman Neely is preoccupied, at the least.
Yes, I imagine he's got an awful lot on his mind and on his itinerary. Today, no less.
I do take like a small amount of joy from it probably being worse by us still being here.
Oh, most absolutely.
The attribute that all of James's characters are going to share is hating politicians.
I mean,
And then when we finally do an evil campaign, James is going to make a politician.
Oh, that's so good though, actually.
Well, at the very least, we've made his itinerary hopefully a little bit easier by our actions last night, but perhaps that has only made it more difficult for him.
I was about to say, it seems as if that is one step forward, but 2 steps back in whatever machinations he's got going here. Well, maybe not him. I apologize. I shouldn't assume so much, but
Well, I've found
seems
that
that way.
one step forward, then 2 steps back tends to be the right way to solve things. All the best for Mr. Neely, at least.
We'll let him go about his business if he lets us go about ours.
Yeah, speaking of our business, you were quite inclined to head to the ranger station with me. Do you mind me asking, what exactly is it that you hunt?
Oh, well, probably shouldn't trust you this quickly, but
Oh, well, if you don't feel comfortable telling me, please don't.
yeah. let's just say I'm not unfamiliar with the unnatural. And I probably was more intrigued last night than I may have let out initially.
Yes, well,
I very much want to know the stories about this place now. This place has gotten a whole lot more interesting in the last 12 hours.
yes, I imagine a monster hunter would certainly want to know what's going on here.
Oh, so you've heard of such. You've heard of us.
She's gonna lean in kind of close to you, almost as if she's like hiding a bit of a smirk, and she'll say, "Well, I've certainly come across more than a few monsters in my years, Mr. Jensen."
They take many shapes, sizes, and machinations and ideas, and they think very highly of themselves sometimes, you know. Some interesting things out there.
Oh, most certainly. I'll admit it's a bit refreshing to finally speak with someone who sees eye to eye with me on this. But something tells me that we may be dealing with a little bit of both kinds of monsters here in Lambeth Hollow. And I think we may have to deal with the more human side first.
I do believe you are right. I think that they might be tied in with each other anyways. There'd be no reason why this town would be so invested in, like I said before, sabotaging their own lifestyles here in this sleepy little town. Seems to not be sleepy so much anymore.
Well, I'd say this town is anything but sleepy, but something tells me most of the townsfolk have no idea what's really going on here. Probably for the best.
Agreed. And I'm just, you know, as a general meaning, I'm not going to keep that that V character. That is, I can't even tell you how disconcerting that thing is. And I'm going to keep it well within my sights.
I think that's apt to do so. I've been keeping an eye on him myself, but
Is the doctor as dangerous as I think he is?
well, you took the words right out of my mouth. You see, while you've been keeping an eye on V, I've been keeping an eye on the good doctor. While he did certainly save my life, and for that I owe him nothing short of a life debt, there is something more to him that he hasn't quite shown us, but if I've learned anything over my 53 years of life, it's that everyone has secrets, and some of those secrets are best taken to the grave.
Oh, you do have a way with words sometimes. Yes, I think there is something going on there, and I'm not so certain that I won't need him as well. But I definitely, I am unnerved, and
Well.
not much unnerves me.
Well, just between you and I, if something would ever happen to the good doctor, or something that would happen that would require us to split ways with him, I know a little bit about medicine myself.
Well,
Just if that was a concern for you.
you know, like I said, I've seen things like forces before. The Lodge has provided such things, and probably deals with druids more than that character we just met ever could have hoped or could have imagined.
Matt, can I make a check on the lodge?
Yeah, you sure can.
Is that lore?
Lore. Just so you two know, at this point you've gotten like up the road a little. As you're starting to pass this windmill, you're noticing that there's significant damage to the walkway around it, and it's been like roped off and closed down as well.
Leading up to the ranger station?
Yes, this windmill right here.
Oh, the windmill. Okay. I got a 10 on my lore check.
You would know that those that are trained and specialize in the hunting of supernatural creatures often are part of small groups. They're not necessarily like religious orders or anything like that, but they generally have like home-based locations where they can be resupplied, they can be given missions and stuff. It's possible that when he's referring to the lodge, he's referring to something like that.
Well, you have quite the history, Mr. Jensen. I'll admit I've never heard a single person speak of the lodge before, but I certainly know a little bit about it, at least. Sounds like a proud organization.
Or we can be. There are some of us more proud than others. Some of us more willing to do more stuff to others, and some of us, well, I'd like to think someone like myself who use it for the benefit of society in general. I have been a lot of places. That is true. I have not. It is not lost on me that all of you have eyed my blade at my side since we've met me. And there is a story there, but I don't know if I'm open to telling it quite yet.
For another time, I suppose. But know this at least: your contributions to the benefits of society are greater than you may ever know, Jensen. And I hope, for the sake of everyone in this world, that you continue your work for as long as your body and mind are able to. Because there are many people who cannot do so for themselves.
Yes, what's been said the last couple nights about them really not knowing how dangerous some of these things are, just being townsfolk and such, cannot be understated sometimes. And what better way to document such things than around a rider? Now, I'm not going to dig too hard, but I would like to know more about what you've written.
Oh, I've written a handful of books, mostly fiction, but nothing that I'm not proud of. Just things that mostly pay the bills, if you know what I'm saying. However, there were some tomes I wrote in my early adulthood that I certainly stand by. But much like your blade, I think that's something I'll save for another time.
I knew sticking with you might be a good idea.
And I think the two of us sticking together might be what's best for Lambeth Hollow.
This place is so very interesting. I just have to keep saying it.
Absolutely. What do you think of Hodge's notion that there are witches living in these woods?
I had to hold back my belly laughter about that. I won't lie. It definitely could be, but it seems like a lot of things here are attached to strings more than moving by themselves.
I think I'd have to agree with you, but I think it's worth considering.
It is, and don't mistake that for naivete. I've seen too much for that to occupy space in my head no more.
With you, Jensen, I would never think that was the case.
Oh, you do flatter.
Yeah, I'm just gonna walk up to the ranger station and go in.
As you enter through the heavy wooden front door, go ahead and make awareness rolls.
And
Nice.
8.
Entering, you see a pack of about 6 individuals, all of them hardy men who are fit, of varying heights. They're all wearing travel clothes, and pretty much all of them have bows on their backs. Stepping out in front of them and then grabbing a chair and standing on it, you see a slight woman in rode leathers. She's gloved. She's got her hood pulled down. She's got messy, tousled brunette hair that's long down her shoulders. Let me go. Wait, what did you guys get again? Sorry.
And
At 8.
Okay. You would notice that she has Jensen, you would notice that she has oddly shaped ears. They're more pointed than they are rounded. She raises one eyebrow when she clearly sees the two of you entering, and then she looks back at the group of men and she holds up a hand and she says, "We cannot delay any longer. Jonathan and Mark were two of our seasoned rangers, and they knew that all hands were supposed to be back here. You have all been assigned areas in the Whispering Woods to check for them. Remember, do not engage any of the wildlife. Do not startle anyone who lives in the Whispering Woods. And do not push our presence. We are not the constabulary. Now, get going, all of you." And they kind of nod one by one and start to exit. She steps down off the chair and she pushes it back into one of the tables that are in the hall. And she crosses her arms, looking at the two of you. "And what brings you to the ranger station?"
Well, first of all, let me say I'm sorry to hear about your two rangers. I hope they are found soon. My name is Charlotte Price. This is my good friend Jensen. We're here... Well, I'm here at least. I'm a writer, and I'm trying to get some information on the goings-on of Lambeth Hollow. It seems I've walked into quite an interesting predicament going on here.
I would like to learn more because it is such an interesting predicament. In fact, I might be able to help with this search if you could use the extra pair of eyes. We have our own business, but we would not also mind looking into this.
As the two of you are talking, she kind of slowly walks to one of the tables to the side and she sits down. And as you finish saying that, she kicks out each of the seats. "Sit. Arthur, bring wine." A boy
just looked at Jensen like, why?
A boy comes.
Formalities all aside, I see.
A boy comes running out with a clay pitcher and 3 clay mugs, and she pours wine for each of you and some for herself, and she takes a long sup at the drink.
You have my thanks for the hospitality.
"So, your travelers that were on that carriage that arrived in the storm last night?"
Indeed.
We did.
Huh. A writer, you say? What have you written?
Mostly fiction, fantasy books. I look for inspiration in places like this.
You're going to write a fantasy book about Lambeth Hollow?
Well, I have been delving into nonfiction more lately. I was thinking about finding a small town such as this to set a murder mystery, but something tells me that may now be in bad taste.
And why did Councilman Neely send a constabulary officer over here to tell us that we should be keeping an eye on all of you?
Oh, well, I imagine that's probably because we participated in his investigation. We gathered some rather interesting clues, and, well, we've been told not to investigate further into the matter. This has already been discussed with Constable Herc, you see.
Interesting. You know, I've been told not to investigate into these matters as well.
That's probably because you're just as smart as we are.
It is strange when someone does not want your help, isn't it?
I've found that not too many people go out of their way to make sure you do not help them. I will say that.
It's quite odd.
And what information have you come seeking from the ranger station?
Well, given that we are... I'll kind of look at Jensen for confirmation. Given that we are no longer assisting with the investigation, I'm simply here on personal business. I figured that rangers, more than anyone else, might have some good information about the surrounding area and goings-on, who comes to town and who leaves.
Yes, we keep an eye out. The ranger's job is to keep peace between man and nature. It's not a very delightful one. What do you wish to know about the surrounding areas?
Well, specifically, I've been pursuing a rumor that we heard earlier this morning about some rather strange wildlife. We've heard about some animals larger than normal, more aggressive than normal, that seem to be plaguing those who go out into the woods. I just figured you might have some more details.
Probably because you specifically told your people to not engage with the wildlife.
Yes, it does seem that the wolf, the recently born wolf population that has grown into adulthood, has taken on a above average size and are acting quite aggressive. It is not the first time we have had to cull a generation of wolves that were being particularly aggressive, though.
Not the first time. Now that sounds like the start of a story that I would like to hear.
It happens once every 13 years or so.
Well, it seems the story writes itself, doesn't it, Jensen? Perhaps I'll have an easier time here than I thought.
What can I say? As everyone believes, 13 is a lucky number. Her eye twitches with annoyance as she pours more wine for herself.
Not for said wolf generation, though.
We leave some alive. Just the larger ones, the more aggressive ones. We're not interested in destroying the nature around us. As I said, the ranger's duty is to keep peace between nature and man, not favor one side over the other.
I don't suppose the Rangers have any hand in protecting the barrier between man and man, if you get my meaning.
No, such duties are left up to the constabulary.
That would certainly make sense. But surely you have seen some of these strange folk that are being talked about operating in the woods. Have your rangers had to steer clear of them, or is it an active pursuit?
Yes, we have had an incident or two involving these, if I am to believe Herc's report, grave robbers that all of you pointed out or found the home base of. Interesting to hear that everyone there was already unconscious, tied up when they arrived. Quite a capable group you've found yourselves in.
Oh, well, not myself, certainly, but Jensen here was certainly quite valuable. Although it did help that it seemed there was some infighting before we got there. It definitely helped cull the ranks a little bit, didn't it, Jensen?
Oh, that it did. You might say that I am trying to actively engage with the wildlife out here, actually. Hence my quick desire to offer my assistance.
Well, I can't recommend that. Kara Day through Ebon Day, this segment of the month is particularly dangerous in the woods at night. Full moon cycle and all.
Well, not entirely sure why that would have much of an effect, other than the wolves having a little bit more energy.
You know, I've heard it has effect on the tides.
Hmm.
You'd be surprised what it can do to an animal.
I suppose you may be right. I had something else I was about to ask you.
Yeah, I know. What? We came here with more intention just to know stories though as well. We were told that this might be the best place to come to speak to someone about Old Lambeth and a particular well that's not so cool anymore.
Old Lambeth is not a very popular target. It's not a very popular topic around this village. I would recommend that you not mention it, at least around the council.
Probably for the best, Jensen. After all, we don't want to get into any more trouble with them.
Good luck with that.
They seem mighty jumpy of us already for how much assistance we've already given. But, we are, whether we talk about it or not, we're going to look into it. So we're definitely not going to work with council for it.
I have taken reports from my men that
There we go.
old structures have been found deep in the Whispering Woods. I have not seen them for myself, and I do not know their trail. One would need to pack and supply themselves for a few days if they're efficient in the woodlands, if they wanted to search out the deeper parts of the woods to try to find such a location.
Well, it certainly seems like a bit too dangerous for us, doesn't it, Jensen? If you don't mind me asking, we do plan to explore the surrounding farmland just a little bit, but I think we might want to ignore the direction of Old Lambeth. Would you mind telling me which direction from the town it happens to be in?
Your persuasion roll.
Okay. 2d4, baby.
Got anything that can help you?
I
don't think you do.
guess I could spend that
I don't really
participation
have
point.
Oh yeah, you could spend that point to make it easy.
I'll do that.
It's reachable now.
That's what matters. I got a 5.
That is enough.
Participation.
She'll nod and she'll say, just choose any direction other than deeper. And from what has been reported to me, you will be well out of the way of the activities. If you're just coasting around the farmlands, you should be fine.
Well, most appreciated.
Oh, and don't drink from the old well. It's stagnant.
Oh, wouldn't think twice of it. I'm going to kind of look like I'm sort of finishing up this conversation, and I'll kind of look like something has kind of struck my thoughts, and I'll kind of like look at her face a little bit, almost like scrutinizing her, and I'll say, you know, if you don't mind me saying, dear, you have lovely ears. You know, we were just down at the market and there was a jewelry merchant that had a pair of sapphire earrings that curled around the ears, and I think they would look wonderful on you, dear.
In my profession, earrings tend to get in the way.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, perhaps for a dinner party or night out on the town. But just thought you might want to know.
Thank you.
Well, Jensen, I think we best be going. Do you have anything else to ask?
No, I am still thoroughly intrigued with this place.
I do have one piece of advice. The Whispering Woods at night are not a particularly safe place for a frail woman.
Oh, yes, I learned that the hard way. I'll adjust my scarf.
So I heard.
Yes, I think we'll be sticking to the inn after dark.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy your stay in Lambeth Hollow.
I think we most certainly will.
I most definitely will.
She watches the two of you, and the two of you can just faintly hear her pouring out more wine as you leave. And now you're out front alone.
Well, that was informative, perhaps in more ways than one.
Quite.
I'm going to kind of look around and see if anyone's near us, and then I'll lean into Jensen and I'll say, what do you make of that one?
I think if she's not willing to talk about the perk in the room, as it were, I think she doesn't believe any of that shit she said about going deeper. And I think we should go deeper.
I think you're very right. I would, honestly, though, like to speak with some of the local farmers around here. After all, they would know best. They're between the Whispering Woods and the town.
I think that we'll find that trail that you read us this morning over coffee. That trail will probably take us to where we want to go, anyways. I just got a hunch.
I think you're right.
So let's meet up for a little lunch and see what the crop of Lambeth Hollow is.
Indeed.
You guys are heading. Oh, you guys wanted to find a new place to eat lunch, right?
Yeah, I'll go look for
Yeah.
like a cafe or something.
Yeah, the problem is you guys didn't decide where that new place was before you split up.
That's true.
And you have no way to communicate with each other because this is not D&D and you can't just message each other. Well, at least with your party composition, you can't. So,
You know what, guys? Go find a new place, and we'll go find a new place, and we'll see if it's the same new place.
How many new places could there be?
How
that
many
many.
exactly?
There's like one other restaurant in the square, so we could just say that you guys decided to go back to that one.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not even really a restaurant. It's just like a stand where you can buy food. All
free
right,
tacos.
the Village Green. Thanks for being so patient, you two. As the two of you enter the Village Green, go ahead and make awareness rolls.
Making a lot of those tonight. I'm not very good at them.
6.
8.
Okay. The initial area that you step into, it widens out. It's still walled by the hedge, but it's like a small meeting area. It's cobblestoned. There's a bunch of benches lined up into 3 rows, and there's like a small stage, stone stage by a water fountain where somebody could step up and speak. Past that, both of you noticed an entrance to a line of hedges that are inside the main hedge wall. This appears to be some kind of hedge maze. The Village Green itself is totally empty. What was the high roll again?
8.
8? Okay. V, as you look towards that hedge maze wall, you see what appears to be some faint rustling in the bottom of the hedge maze wall. And as you kind of squint and look closer, you see a squirrel come out. A squirrel that's looking directly at you, like it's meeting your gaze. That feels slightly strange, but then you realize there's something much stranger about this squirrel than that. It is wearing a scarf and a top hat that appear to be sized to a squirrel's body. And it cocks its head at you, and then it runs into the hedge maze. All of this happens before Dare can see anything. So, now you need to explain this to Dare and hope that Dare doesn't think it's not one of your crazy personalities.
Dad, did you see that squirrel? It was wearing clothes. We gotta go get it.
Squirrel wearing clothes.
Yeah, it had a scarf like the one that Charlotte bought today, and then it had a really nice top hat.
It was actually kind of a fucked up top hat, but it was a top hat.
Hey, I got really low standards for
Yep,
clothes, okay?
That's true. That's very true. From your point of view, nice top hat is accurate.
Are you sure you saw that?
Yeah, it was down there. And I'll point to where it was in the hedge maze wall. See the hole?
It just looks like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I do think we will need to go into the edge maze, as there is no one else out here. If Ethel is still here, she's probably within So perhaps we will find your squirrel in there as well.
I
As
bet
you-
Jensen would like it.
As you step into the hedge maze, it seems like this was a hedge maze that was probably made for the township as like a way to entertain kids. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a particularly hard maze to find the center of, but you do still need to try. It's not completely just easy.
How much taller than me are the hedge maze walls?
They're like 7 feet high.
So
You're
I
like
could
almost
probably,
meeting him,
stand on my tiptoes.
and you can
maybe
kind of
see a
observe
little
the
bit.
top of them. Yeah,
Okay.
make awareness rolls. They're easy.
6 again.
I got 6. Tied.
It takes the two of you combined a few minutes to get to the center. Along the way, you don't notice anything else strange, and neither of you notices a squirrel in a top hat and a scarf. As you reach the center of the hedge maze, you find several benches and a garden of pretty colorful flowers. They're slightly hued to gray, though, because this is not the best time of year for these kind of plants. But even still, it's an impressive little garden. At the center is an old statue. The statue is of a slight woman who appears to be depicted with like a billowing dress on. Go ahead and make study rolls on the statue. She's postured in kind of an open, welcoming stance. Her hands are open with her palms showing. They're kind of like each at an angle downwards.
8.
14.
Another thing you notice about this statue is she doesn't have very humanoid ears. They're pointed instead of rounded. At the foot of this statue, you both find that the plants have grown over a plaque, a bronze plaque. And as you kind of pull away the roots in the dirt to uncover it, the two of you can see that it says, Lady Esme of the Whispering Woods, who first blessed the fields of Lambeth Hollow to grow. As you're studying the statue, Dare, you find that within the billowing cloak, there's a notch. And you're able to use your toolkit to slip a flat edge in the notch and pull free a loose piece of stone. It's a hidden compartment. Inside, as you reach in, you can only fit like 2 fingers in. You pull out what appears to be a small bundle of sticks, as well as a small baggie that's cinched up and closed, kind of like a velvet bag. It's very small. It looks kind of like your guys' bags on your desks, actually.
Well, let's see what we have in here.
You're going after the bag first?
Yep.
You kind of carefully open it because it feels particularly light. Inside, you find a collection, a pile of fine, shimmering, dust-like particles. When you reach in with your fingers and you pinch them, there's this reaction like miniature fireworks. And when you sift them in your fingers, it feels kind of like almost like a powder. You do not recognize it, and from like a scientific perspective, you don't really understand how it's shimmering. It doesn't really make a lot of sense if it's just like a powder or like a grain or something. Make a study roll on the bundle of sticks. It's pretty small. It would like fit in the palm of your hand.
$14.
Nice. The sticks, they're not just, it's not just a random bundle of sticks. That much you can tell for sure. They look like they're cross wrapped with like the bands of leather that are holding them all together, and they've been like purposely bundled into this shape. It feels like a totem or something similar to that. It's definitely not like a random object. It's something that somebody made with purpose, but you don't really understand what the purpose is. You do also notice that within the sticks, where they all meet in their shaped bundles together, appears to be some kind of sappy substance.
Well, V, do you have any idea what these might be?
I'll take a look.
Make a lore roll.
Lore roll.
You don't really understand what these are, Dare, but you do feel like that there's something like logically that if somebody that like knows about a healing poultice, they might also know about these kinds of things.
I got a 6. Lore.
Yeah, you're not sure. The sticks are sticky when you pick them up. It makes you just like want to release them.
Classic sticks.
Just sticky, man. Just real sticky.
Just real sticky sticks. I'll just take my hand off of it and then kind of like brush it on the statue to get the sticky stuff off.
Uh-huh. It's not really like that though. It's like tree sap sticky. So like you try to do that, but your hand just feels gross now.
I hate that.
Yeah, it's the worst. Nature's glue. Nothing says fuck you like tree sap.
No, it doesn't. Anyway, I'll look at the sand whatever that superfine powder sand thing that you were talking about was. Would I be able to sense if it's got like any magic to it at all?
I don't think you really have the ability to do that based upon your features. It does. The glow does like you do kind of want to attribute it to some kind of magical effect though, because it doesn't really make any sense. Like mineral material shouldn't be luminescent really, unless this is all some kind of crystal like substance maybe.
Perhaps our new friends know what either of these mean or what they are?
That Charlotte seems to be very studied in that weird stuff.
The perfect way to explain that.
Yes, I suppose. We will hold
Eloquent.
this and show that to her when we meet up. Oh, I don't see who we were looking for in here. Perhaps they had left while we were at the market.
Maybe. Didn't he say she was a druid? Maybe she was the squirrel in the top hat.
Is that something that druids do?
All right.
Hello, my lady. Hello, my darling.
Your understanding of a druid is like a very obsessive nature's right activists who believe in a lot of weird, archaic like not really religious stuff, but spiritual stuff.
And I'm sure that V just heard somebody say that druids could turn into animals
Yeah.
and immediately believed it.
And yeah, just decided that was a thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'll start looking around for the squirrel.
It's justified mechanically. Make a awareness roll, because I think that right now, as the documents stand, the Druidcraft calling has something that enhances the beast form spell, but I actually haven't put a spell called beast form in the spell list. So technically, there are some people that believe druids can turn into animals, but druids can't actually do it. So it works.
Just old fantasy stories.
Yeah.
It's not actually real.
You said an awareness roll?
Yeah.
I'll spend a participation point to make this easy.
Okay.
I really want to see the squirrel again. 5?
You're muted, James. 5? No, you don't notice the squirrel anywhere. But I guarantee you, you're going to tell Stella about it, and Stella's going to be jealous. Stella's going to be like, man, I went to the ranger station and I missed the squirrel and the top hat.
And a hedge maze?
It's like squirrels and hedge mazes are like Stella's 2 favorite things.
Especially when there's a squirrel in the hedge maze.
That's wearing a top hat and a scarf.
Oh, it's so much better.
So much better.
Hedge maze multiplied by squirrel.
It's the kind of math I'm looking for in life.
Is there anything else you guys want to do inside of the center of the hedge maze?
That was top tier.
You
usage
didn't
of
find Ethel.
participation.
She's not here as far as you can tell.
Tried so hard. I'll just shout out, Ethel.
You wait a few moments, no response.
Okay. It was worth a try.
I
She
think we
probably
should
can't
just.
speak as a squirrel.
Yes, you're right. Probably not. I think we should just go regroup with our new friends. See what we can find out about these items from them.
As you're saying this, you walk up and you're patting, kind of like reaching up and patting the shoulder a little bit, like there, and the two of you walk out the entrance to the hedge maze, and there, just briefly, something tells you to look back, and as you're patting V's shoulder and you look back towards the entrance of the hedge maze, you see just down in the foliage at the bottom of the hedge maze, you see a squirrel in a top hat and a scarf peeking out and looking at you. And just briefly, as you're taking in the fact that you're seeing it, you see, as it's looking at you, you see one of its little hands go, and then it ducks into the hedge maze.
Squirrel knows too much. It's the key to everything. I guarantee you.
I'm gonna pull
Really?
out my bottle of laudanum and take a couple drops.
You do that, and then you look back. You don't see anything there but the entrance to the hedge maze.
Yes, let's keep going. Let's regroup with our new friends.
And we'll cut to all of you standing outside the cart. The people at this cart are basically just opening a fresh bread bun and putting cooked sausage in it, and then dousing it with like broth, like soup broth. And that's what they're selling to you guys. The only other thing they have is fried eel.
How close are we to an ocean? Or I guess a river?
At this time period, there's still a lot of eels in the rivers.
Okay.
So it's actually like a dish that's pretty
Common.
popular and common.
I'll get a sandwich,
Sure.
and when I go to eat it, does it have any flavor at all?
There's a little bit of spice flavor in the links, but you kind of want to douse it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach into my bag and I'll pull out the crushed chili peppers and kind of just dump a bunch on top and then eat it.
And all of you get your food and you're standing together. A little ways from the cart. There's no seating or anything.
Well, finally glad to be getting a bite to eat. Have the two of you found anything interesting?
We did not
Turned
find
into a
Ethel there.
squirrel.
No,
She's
I've...
the druid.
What did you say about a squirrel?
There was
There
a
was a-
squirrel in a top hat and a scarf. Right where they said Ethel was gonna be, but we never found Ethel.
Oh, no,
Just
I've
the squirrel.
heard an awful lot of strange things since we arrived here, but that is certainly the most ridiculous.
That seems unnatural.
And
But it's true.
you seem to be implying that Ethel could transform herself into a squirrel?
If she's the druid, everybody knows druids can transform into animals.
And then she put on a top hat and scarf.
Everybody now. Okay.
Maybe she already had the top hat and scarf on and she wanted to keep wearing them.
I suppose if someone could transform themselves into a small woodland creature, I imagine they would have some modicum of control over which clothing items they get to carry with them as well, and how they are resized. Yes, that certainly does sound apt.
This place
Unfortunately,
gets
we
better
have
and better
no-
by the minute.
No evidence of such.
You didn't see her wearing a top hat when you saw her entering the village green. Top hats are generally like something that... I guess actually there were women's hats at the time that were somewhat similar to top hats, but they would usually be like dressed or adorned.
That's kind of what Charlotte's got, but it's definitely less of a top hat and more of like a kind of a wider brim.
Yeah. I do kind of picture Charlotte wearing like a mannish hat though. And I think that fits her personality really well.
I mean, her clothes are definitely like not like I'm going to a dinner party where I'm not going to move around at all. It's
Yeah.
more like I'm going to do some walking, so this has to be comfortable. Well, we found some interesting things at the ranger station. It seems that two of their ranks have gone missing, and well, the head ranger, I suppose, at the station seems to be a bit concerned with all of this going on. She did let us know that this is not the only time that wolves in the surrounding woods have been particularly aggressive. She noted that it seems that every 13 years or so, the newest generation seems to act this way. Quite peculiar.
13 being a lucky number to most, but it's really just a number of fate itself, if anything.
Yeah, she also seemed... what's the word I'm looking for? She implored us that we stayed out of the deeper sections of the woods. It seems that she knows a little bit more than most about what we were up to last night, and that she thinks that we might be best staying in town after dark.
He also made it clear that it was a little strange that she also was asked not to look into things, or asked politely to stay out of it and not give her assistance.
And to keep an eye out for us by the councilman himself.
All leading us to believe that she may have been just giving us more information that could be helpful to us.
Well, that certainly sounds like the council may be involved in some way, at least to me.
I am telling you, this is the most interesting small town I've ever been to.
I think you'll find that most small towns are actually rather interesting. After all, secrets don't go far. But I do think that the council here knows more than they're letting on, and they're certainly... they certainly do not want to let that information get out, especially into prying eyes such as ours.
Speaking of secrets, I have one for you that is also a secret to me. I'll pull out the bundle of sticks and the pouch of powder.
Oh, well, let me take a look. I'll put on my half moon spectacles again. It takes me like 30 seconds to get them out and unfold them, clean them.
Peels them back on over your ears.
Go ahead and make a study.
Okay, I'm going to use the magnifying glass for this. Ooh, that's a 17, and the check is easy.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Well, I can't say that I know much about these. They're certainly strange, but very intentionally made. I mean, I've heard plenty of stories about witches and herbalists and all in between. It certainly looks like a personal totem of some kind, but I couldn't say what it's used for. And this powder is kind of like rub a little bit between her fingers. Definitely strange. This is not my area of expertise, but whatever this is, I'm sure it is quite rare.
Can I make a lore check? See if I've seen this in my travels.
Sure.
Something similar. Fucking snake eyes, baby.
Hell yeah.
I ain't seen shit.
We ain't found shit.
Nah. You unfortunately do not know much about it.
Doesn't look involved
Then a
enough to be any
secret
kind
will
of
remain.
ritual. Maybe we'll ask the squirrel.
Perhaps a good idea if it truly is a druid.
Didn't the head Hodge fella tell us to be looking out for a bluebird, not a squirrel?
Was the top hat or the scarf blue? Or have a blue bird on it in the scarf, maybe?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Was anything on the squirrel blue, or did the scarf have like a blue bird, like, design on it?
No, it was like a very simple scarf. It was probably made from like a scrap of a larger piece of clothing.
Like mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, squirrel didn't have any blue. And it's not a bird.
That is true.
You're all continuing to eat.
This sausage ain't that bad. I could have done with a little less broth, I think.
Yes, the eel is a bit saltier than I would like. Awfully strange considering it comes from fresh water, I can only assume, but here we are.
You know what?
Is that what we're eating?
Well, that's what's in mine.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
not
is
sure what's in yours, Doctor.
Nor am I.
I'll pull back.
You get a point for roleplay for that. That was good. Oh man.
When Jensen's mentioning his sandwich, I'll hold out the jar of incredibly, spicy chili and go, "You can make it taste even better."
You know, I have been meaning to ask you,
you do dump a lot on it. Would you suggest I dump a lot on it, or is this, because of your condition?
I don't know. I use a lot, and it just gives it some flavor.
All right.
Like, I wouldn't know that it's super spicy, right? Like, it's just one of the very few flavors that I can actually taste. Or would I get irritated with it?
No, you understand that it's spicy, but the effects of spice are like heavily deadened to your body because of you being what you are.
I would be saying like it's really mild.
Yeah,
I have a slight reaction.
But because of the heat, the flavor comes through more than with foods that don't have heat.
I will try a little bit to start. Moderation first, as they always say.
Okay, I'll just dump some onto it.
Okay.
It's pretty hot for you. Not because your character's like a bitch or anything like that. just because in this area, people don't really eat spicy food. They don't grow up eating spicy food.
That is something. It's good though. It is. That's a little bit much. But I'm not. This is not the hottest thing I have ever tasted either. So.
There's hotter stuff. Where?
Oh yes, stuff that'll make you sweat and hallucinate a little bit.
I'm already there.
Oh. Fair enough.
You guys should be probably thinking about what you want to do with the rest of your daylight, and then maybe what you guys want to do with lack of daylight at night tonight. We'll be right back.
So I would like to go around to these farmlands, I think, and see if we unravel a little bit more of this adventure. Because I kind of have a feeling that going around to the farms and doing what we're doing is going to lead us deeper into the forest, anyways. And if really what we just gotta band together and not let the whisperers get to us, if that is a real thing. I think we'll be all right, though.
Right, you would like to explore the farmlands. There's certainly much that the farmers have to say, especially they might not be telling the council, or might be afraid to tell the council, actually.
I suggest that we take our time, and right around nightfall, we realize that, man, it is very late to be going all the way back. Can we happen to stay in one of y'all's barns for just the night, so that maybe the good constabulary and the council does not know our whereabouts at all?
That is not a bad plan.
Do we still want to break into the visitor center at night?
Oh, that line of thinking is also important. I forgot about that, honestly.
Yes, I would like to see what is in that cellar, or at least in the visitor center itself. What do we all think? We do have a couple of options here. We could also go to the farms in the morning. After all, the farmers will be up quite early.
I think maybe going in to out, probably the best plan, actually. So, as good as my plan might have been, I think we should table that for another night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
So let's lay low until this evening.
I think I'm gonna be needing a nap after all this anyway. So, so we gotta. I might go lay down.
I'll go see if I can find a local library, or at least someone's personal collection. See if I can look up some more information on these items that you found, Doctor. There might be something here. If I might ask, where exactly did you find them?
As you ask that, the guy who runs the cart shovels some some eel soup into a bowl and hands it to a customer, and then turns and looks at you and says, "Local library?
Yes, is there one?
What's a library?"
Well, it's an establishment that contains a multitude of books on various subjects that one might peruse when looking for information.
Books.
Yes, books.
There's some of those at the visitor center.
Perfect. Might you have any idea when it opens?
I don't know. I think it was closed today. I think the storm damaged the building.
Yes, I'm sure the storm did
Local
quite a number on this town.
Local library. He turns and he laughs with another guy.
Well, that answers
No,
my
I did
question.
not like this town.
That crazy stuck-up old lady think there's books in this little town.
Yes, I'm right there with you, Doctor. I have my doubts as well, but something tells me this is exactly where I was meant to be. Not this cart. The town.
I'll take a few steps away as we're like heading a bit away from this cart. Say, well, yes, I did find them in the village green. There was an edge maze in there, and in the middle there's a statue. And we found a small notch on the statue with a hole in it, and that's where these were. So someone was trying to hide them away for some reason.
Yes, perhaps a secret stash of some kind. Perhaps I'll head there first, and then I'll head back to the inn. I'd like to take a look at this hedge maze for myself. Perhaps there's something there that might still be found.
Well, that sounds like a good way to kill some more time until this evening.
You guys want to all go back there to Village Green 2 Electric Boogaloo?
Maybe I will join you again, Miss Charlotte, and find a nice tree to take a nap under. And just stay close by, see if anybody be watching you or me or us.
Not a bad idea.
All of you leave the cart behind. And you make your way over the hill, around back of the visitor's center, and down towards the village green. As all of you enter the village green, go ahead and make awareness rolls. Who's using participation points because they want to try to see a squirrel?
I am gonna do what I said. I'm gonna post up next onto a tree and look like I'm asleep, and kind of watch, see if anybody like notices.
Like over here.
Somewhere where I can see the entrance and also see people.
Sure.
Pull down my hat.
Does as we get there, does V look like he's looking around for a squirrel?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to use words of encouragement on your roll. She's gonna say, you're just gonna be looking around. And she'll say, no, keep your eyes low. They'll be coming out of the bottom of the hedge maze. And yeah, I'll make the check easy.
All right. What everyone get? What do the three of you get?
Oh, I gotta roll.
I got in
James, roll one as well. I'll
8.
get to you in a minute. 8, 3,
6.
7.
7. Okay. None of you noticed the squirrel. Everything else seems to be about the same, except on one of the benches, Ethel is sitting.
Oh, perfect. She was not here earlier.
Sorry, what,
Or
dear?
She was Oh, nothing. How are you?
I'm good. Just taking a little break. Things got slow over at the inn.
Yes, we've just about completed our business for the day, and we thought we might come out here, as it seems to be a rather quiet area. Do you come here often?
She nods. It used to be quite nice here, but it seems as though in the last few years the council has decided that some of the town's funds are more needed elsewhere, so I come down here to tend to the gardens and such.
Oh, well, that's quite noble of you. I'm sure the plants appreciate it.
She smiles and she nods. They are quite appreciative. Appreciative? She looks at V. Are you okay? You seem to be looking for something.
Have you seen a squirrel in a top hat and a scarf running around anywhere? I'm gonna like get down on my hands and knees to like look under the hedges at this point.
She chuckles at you and she walks back to the bench after she tends to some of the plants. And she sits down and she smiles and she says, it's much easier to let Mr. Potter come out than try to find him.
I'll stand up and like act like I'm not looking around for him.
Well, that's not going to work now. You're already too obvious. Just relax, act natural, sit on a bench, tend to a plant.
I'll go sit on a bench.
So, what have all you been doing? You've been noticed wandering around today. I think Mr. Herc is quite worried about your activities.
Yes, we definitely seem to have made our presence known since we got here. He seems to be concerned that we're going to press into his investigation more than he'd like. We did assure him this morning that we would cease doing so, but, well, some of us here are looking for some local rumors, more information around the surrounding area, just to get a feel for Lambeth Hollow. It's such an interesting place.
She smiles. It is. It has a long history, as many of these small towns do. Though I do fear with the way that our council is approaching their duties, we are leaving our past farther and farther behind.
Yes, I heard as much. It seems like the councilman is trying to lead Lambeth Hollow into an age of industrialization.
She shakes her head and laughs. Like the whole idea is just a joke to her. But there's just like a hint of disgust in it. And then she says, yes, well, all I can say is I've lived here a long time, my whole life, nearly 75 years. And I have to say, we've never had as much trouble as we've had since he got here.
Well, that is certainly worrying. I can understand your point of view. But at least it's... You see, I'm from the big city. One of them, at least, and it takes an awful lot for a place to grow into something like that. I think it may be quite some time before Lambeth Hollow develops, but I understand your concerns. After all, each piece will sting more than the last.
I suppose. She kind of stands up and she puts down her basket that she had some of her gardening tools in, and she brushes off her hands and she says, well, I do think I need to be getting back now, but she turns and she looks at all of you and she says, I do think you're all here to help for one reason or another.
Well, we'll certainly do what we can, but it seems Constable Herc wishes to keep us at arm's length, so...
I doubt, it is my belief that despite Herc's misgivings, he is a well-meaning man. He was born here as well.
Well, that's quite interesting. I don't suppose he's ever left for the big city.
No, I don't think he ever wanted that. I would imagine he was quite sad when the head chair at the council was taken by Neely. He'd only arrived a year or two before when he got that position, and I doubt he's made Herc's life very easy.
Rather unfortunate position to be in.
If you need anything else, I'll be at the tavern.
Yes, well,
And
we'll be
please
there.
don't disturb the plants.
Oh.
They don't like that very much.
Of course, I'll make sure that none of them are touched except by gentle hands. We may see you at the tavern later this evening, but if not, pleasant dreams, Ethel.
She'll nod, and as she walks out, she hesitates and she stops when she's standing behind the bench that you're seated at on the way towards the entrance fee. And she reaches out and she puts like a kind of a comforting hand on your shoulder and she says, Eldrin, bless you, child. And then she walks out.
Do I know who Eldrin is?
Eldrinel is the planet that you're on.
Oh, okay, so she's... Okay.
It's-
Kind of like Mother Earth, bless you,
Yeah.
kind of deal.
as opposed to like, God bless you.
Yeah.
After she leaves, I will. I'm gonna go to the statue. I'm assuming at this point I've noticed that the statue has pointed ears.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that will attract my attention over there. I'll I'll read the plaque for a couple of moments, and then I'll like take out like a small book and just jot down like the name and.
You probably have some of those thin papers and like one of those charcoal things. So if you wanted, you could like flatten it over it and like you probably have stuff like that.
Do a rubbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that actually. That makes sense. I'll do like a quick sketch of the woman also.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
I'll go over to the doctor and I'll say, Dr. Waltz, would you mind showing me where you found these items?
Oh, not at all. They were right here.
He
I'll
takes
point
you
it.
into the hedge. Technically, you were doing some stuff that you needed to be in the hedge maze to do, but that's okay. He's taking you into the hedge maze, and he shows you where on that statue that you were sketching the notches.
Oh, well, you certainly weren't joking. A hidden compartment. Somebody did not want these to be found. Quite strange.
If only we knew what they were.
Yes, I will have to look into that. Perhaps I will find some semblance of a local library here, but if not, I'll make do with what I have.
It's in the visitors center. Just gotta break in. Cutting to outside of the village green, you're leaned up against the tree. Looking around, you see some people coming into town and leaving out of town from different directions. A little bit more activity for Hodge at the market, who's built up like a little bit of a crowd as he's advertising something he's trying to sell. However, one thing you do notice with that roll is that tucked in over here, kind of leaning out and looking at you and also looking towards the village green, appears to be one of the constables.
So we are being watched. Okay. Cool. I will stay as still as possible and just keep watching. Does he like write anything down?
No, he's just kind of watching out. You do notice Ethel leave the hedges and walking along the road back towards the inn.
Okay. Does he leave when that happens, or is he staying there?
No, he does watch her for a bit before it looks like he goes back to either looking at you or looking towards the entrance.
Okay. Cool.
Back inside. You know that Ethel at least believes there's a squirrel with a top hat and a scarf in here.
It's true. We know their name too. I have a couple things I'd want to look at a little more closely.
Sure.
Can I use the magnifying glass to make some kind of check on the little compartment?
Sure.
I want to see if this is like, if there's just anything else I can glean from this about like Like, does it how old does the inside of this compartment look? Does it look like it was meant to be opened anytime soon? Like, is there another way to open it?
Make a study roll. It is easy because you're magnifying glass. I'll also give you the easy from the secret entrances compartments thing. So that knocks it down 2 level.
Woof, I got a 2.
That's okay, because I'm pretty sure you made most of those details incidental. It definitely doesn't look like it was meant to be this way. It is like pretty precise how it was cut, and it does appear to slip in and out pretty easily. It blends in pretty well, and you have to know to stick like a flat blade in to adjust it so you can pull it out. So it's well hidden, but it's not like a hard compartment to open and close if you know what you're doing and you know it's there.
Gotcha.
It's hard for you to believe that this compartment was made using tools.
Like, it almost looks too perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a note of that. The other thing I wanted to look at is I wanted to look at the plants around here that Ethel was tending to.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if I can figure out what kinds of plants she's growing here.
Make a natural sciences roll.
Pretty good, that's a 12.
So the main body of the stone plant beds along the cobblestones, most of it is flowers. Bluebells, cowslips, foxgloves, daffodils, crocus, hawthorn. And a lot of these are wild roses are even in there. A lot of these are just flowers that are used for decoration. However, as you're looking closer with that roll, you notice that hidden amongst all these planters, while the flowers grow tall, there's actually a lot of other plants that are used for things like traditional medicine. That includes the cowslips and the primroses that are amongst the flowers, but also buried amongst those, there's wild garlic, nettles, basil, mint, parsley, chives, tarragon, ginger roots, some of which are fresh, actually. In fact, you could probably roll to try to harvest some.
I'm gonna leave them be.
Okay.
But I will definitely make a mental note of all of these. I'm assuming they looked very well kept.
Yes. She's probably spending a lot of her free time here.
Okay. Okay, this might be a weird question. I'm not sure if I would know this, but are any of them grown in a higher quantity than others? And do any of them look like they were recently harvested?
A lot of the things that are used for cooking and garnishing look like they've been recently harvested. There is quite a bit of ginger root there that is not harvested. It looks like everything is kept up pretty frequent. And there's a fair amount of all of it. So, nothing seems specifically more important than anything else.
Okay. I am going to take a small sample of the soil if I can.
You absolutely can. You've probably got some vials or something like that.
Yeah, like little pouches or something. Yeah, I'll just take a little bit of the soil with me. After I take that and I like cork the vial, I'm gonna look at the plants and say, this will be returned. You have my thanks.
As you're doing that, and you say that to the plants, you see a little bit of shuffling amongst the planter. And a squirrel, wearing a scarf and a top hat, peeks his head out at you and watches you talking to this plant.
Oh. Good afternoon.
He cocks his head,
I take it you're Mr. Potter?
nods.
My name is Charlotte. It's good to meet you. I've heard a lot about you.
It kind of shifts and it looks at you and it kind of like sits on its haunches, like it's kind of having a conversation with you right now.
Well, it's certainly good to see that you are actually real and not a hallucination.
He cocks his head the other way, and you see in like his pouched cheeks a couple. He opens his lips and a couple peanuts fall out. These aren't wild peanuts though. These look like they're like peanuts from the bar. They're like already halved and they're like shaved and stuff, like salted.
Kind of like take a look at it through my spectacles and say, "Oh, regular at the tavern, are we?"
He kind of watches you, and he looks at the peanuts, and he picks up one of the pieces, and he like runs over and he holds it up to you. And he's offering it to you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
Okay, at this point, what are the two of you doing? V's gone right now.
Brilliant.
But what are you doing? Because at this point, you've probably noticed that she's just like bent over in the planter bed having a conversation with a squirrel in a top hat and a scarf. So
this is a great
I'm gonna lean over to Jensen.
Jensen's outside still.
I am posted up,
Oh,
nap watching.
So unfortunately, you
I'd
just
be-
have V to talk to.
I'd be leaning over towards V. I could have sworn I was hallucinating when I saw that.
Cutting back
Just
over
gonna
to
rub
you.
my eyes.
Do you take the peanut?
Yeah, I'll take the peanut. I'll offer him like, I don't know. I'm sure I have like some kind of snack or ration on me. I'll offer him something that I have.
He'll take it and start chewing on it. He's still watching you.
This is a very lovely garden. Do you help Ethel tend it?
He shakes his head now.
I see. Well, are you a caretaker of this garden in any way?
He stands up. He's like chewing on the piece of like kind of like hard bread that you gave him
Yeah.
or whatever. And he stands up and he paces back and forth like he's thinking about the answer, and then he stops and he like stamps his foot a few times, still thinking, and then he shrugs at you.
Fair enough. Sometimes I question my own place in the world. Well, it was certainly good to meet you, and I'd love to converse more when you have the time.
He
If you need
nods.
me. Yeah. If you need me, I do have a tendency to stay up late and wake early. We'll be staying at that tavern right over there.
He kind of peeks over and nods like he understands.
Or I could meet you here in the garden if you like.
He shrugs. He doesn't. He doesn't seem to care. Like
Sure.
he'll be here or he'll be there.
Yeah.
V, she's having a full-on conversation with the squirrel right now, and
I know. I could still hear.
I will actually.
Most delightful piece of roleplay I've heard like in a long time.
I'll walk over to the statue and I'll point at the little compartment and I'll say, "Did you know about this?
he nods,
Did you put it there?"
shakes his head.
Ah, fair enough. I suppose that would be too easy, wouldn't it?
He points back towards the entrance sense / exit.
Ah, was it Ethel that put it here?
He nods,
Ah.
and then he points at you.
Yes, I am currently in possession of what was in there.
He nods.
For all intents and purposes, I do intend to return it to her, but I did
sh-
have some questions about it.
He points back towards her, and then he marches up to you, and he like pokes you with his finger a few times.
Hmm. You're saying that I should follow her?
He shakes his head, and he stomps his feet, and he's like trying to think about what to do. and then he jumps into your bag and starts shuffling around in your bag.
Yes, yes. No. They're a little bit lower on the left side. Yes.
He comes back out of the bag with something you've got, like a pencil or something, like a stick,
Mhm.
and he hops down and he's like wielding it like kind of like a big utensil, and he starts to draw in the dirt for you.
Oh, gift. Oh, it's quite nice. She left it there for me to find.
He nods.
Quite interesting indeed. Perhaps I'll have to return the favor.
He shrugs, and then he offers the thing he took from you back.
Sure, no, I'll take it. Or perhaps some messages.
He picks the little chunk of bread back up, and he like nods at it and he motions with it like he wants more.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll actually just give him what I have. Like, I don't know if it's a whole piece of bread, but I'll give
it's
him
like a little square, like cornbread or something.
You've been rather helpful today, Mr. Potter. You have my thanks.
He bows.
There's more of that where it came from, for sure.
His eyes light up.
Oh, yes, most certainly. I can probably get you something nicer, too. Do you like eel?
He puts two hands over his heart, like he's like really excited and his heart's racing.
Fried eel sandwich it is.
Nods.
Well, it's a date, Mr. Potter, but until then, I do have some business I need to attend to.
He waves at you. What are the two of you doing now?
Don't even care. Top notch roleplay right there.
Did I see any of this if I didn't go back through the maze?
Oh yeah, I guess if you didn't go back through the maze, then you didn't. I thought you did go with them.
I went in to see Ethel. Was she in the center of the maze?
No, they went in after that.
I probably wouldn't have followed.
Okay, you didn't see
them.
any of that. So the
Yeah,
two of them come walking back out of the hedge maze.
I did specifically ask the doctor where he found those items at, so that's where he was taking me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I already.
And
knew
you
that
missed all of
answer,
that.
so-
You're sitting on the bench still. Hilarious. All right, we're retconning to you talking to yourself because you just couldn't believe it so much.
Well, I've met Mr. Potter, and it seems we have a rather lovely date planned for some time in the future, but he's rather a nice fellow.
Wait, you talked to the squirrel?
Yes, it was a rather one-sided conversation, but I got his share of it just the same.
Whoa. I didn't know anybody else could react to my hallucinations.
Well, I'm not going to discount the possibility of hallucinating myself, but it all seemed rather real to me, V. Perhaps once you find him, you might strike up a conversation as well. He enjoys bread, and apparently eel.
Good to know. When we get back, I'm gonna buy some eel sticks from that stand.
Jason, you see the three of them walking out of the village green.
I will stretch and like get myself up. Like I just took a little cat nap. And rejoin them.
And all of you have regrouped.
Anything interesting happen outside here, Jensen?
Well, they did seem mighty interested in us. Like one of our good constables was hiding rather poorly around the corner of the inn. Very interested in me and us, and walked away right when he heard the rustling. He did turn an eye to our Miss Ethel too, but he's mostly us. We were watched the whole time.
Stands to reason they'd be placing a watch on us. After all, we did interrupt their investigation here, for better or for worse. I imagine we should get used to being spied on, as long as we are in Lambeth Hollow.
Just trying to get us some confirmation. That's all. And I got it.
Excellent work. Well, I think I might return to the tavern as well. I'd like to do a little bit of studying, a little bit of rest. What do we think?
That sounds like a solid plan.
Indeed.
One by one, you guys trickle off, trying not to draw too much attention to your travels. Maybe some of you staying in town to get eel sticks to try to bribe Mr. Potter. Maybe some of you going back to the tavern for a midday drink.
I will get a drink and sit outside and smoke on a pipe. Straight tobacco, though.
Yeah.
Leaf tobacco.
Don't worry, he's going to have a stoner in this setting somewhere.
Purposely not doing it.
No, you're doing it. You're fucking doing it. Either way, we're going to cut to midnight. The four of you have gathered in the tavern. It's quiet. There's a few late night citizens that are burping on their beers, but for the most part, it is just Ethel serving the room. And the four of you need to come up with a plan. There's also a couple constabularies in here, but they appear to be off the clock.
Off the clock. Well,
Just gonna try and sit in a back corner somewhere. I'm not used to being in very populated buildings, so I'd be trying to stay out of the way.
I think the back is the place to go. We're talking about clandestine operations. Yeah, I'll sit down too and I'll say, be a productive afternoon with Mr. Potter.
Oh, did I find? I'm assuming I didn't find Mr. Potter.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to try to go back that day.
I assume that
I
he
assume
had.
that you were going to attempt that next time the party went that way.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm just stocking up for when we get there.
Eel stays well overnight.
I don't
Hey.
think it does. Narrator, narrator be lying to us.
Everything tastes about the same until you season it.
Well, I think that eel will probably season itself to your. I don't know if it's to your liking, but it will at some point.
It will certainly develop a stronger taste.
Interesting. So you're telling me I should just hold on to this in my bag for a few days?
Oh, now,
That is
now
not
what
what
do
I'm
I
suggesting
know?
at all.
Josh, I'm pretty sure you still need to eat something today.
I mean, I didn't take the attic, so I don't technically have
Okay, for sure.
to eat a brain. I just, if I had some
That's-
brain.
Can, if he wants to.
There's a
There was
there's a
one
feature
there.
there's a feature that increases your benefits, but it makes you addicted to brains too. So you have to eat them every day.
That could
I
be
haven't
rough.
gone that far down the rabbit hole yet.
You will.
I'm sure
All
I
right.
will.
You need to make a plan. You can see by the map that the place that you're going to try to be breaking into is pretty out in the open. So
It's not totally sure how we approach this in a stealthy manner. I think creating a distraction is probably not good enough. I think it'll be pegged on us, maybe, or we'll get roped into it or something. That's what I couldn't think of any good other idea though.
To make
Unless-
sure that the guards around us fainted.
That sounds rather violent, but it's not out of the question, I suppose. I was thinking maybe we lose them in the forest. We go into the forest and see if our pair of eyeballs follows us there, and if they do, then we try to lose them, and we can go back to the city. May take a minute, but that's the best I could come up with.
Certainly not a bad idea. There is also the possibility of all of us splitting up, and they would have to put 4 sets of eyes on us instead of just the one, but may be more difficult to reconvene later.
We all took a piece of the pie, as it were. Maybe it was not a bad plan, although still, I don't like the two of you, the Doctor and Charlotte, being alone with them creatures out. It's not making me feel good about it.
Oh, I'd go with the doc.
Splitting up in 2 would double the amount of eyes for sure.
With some safety on our side for sure.
The door to the tavern side bursts open. A constabulary runs in, looking across at the table where you saw the 2 off duty. He says, "John, Rory, come quick. It's the ranger station. It's been lit ablaze." And he runs back out the door. The 2 men look at each other, kind of surprised, and then kind of look sadly at their drinks, and they grab their things and they run out the door.
Looks like we might be improvising tonight.
That a good enough distraction?
Certainly might be.
That's true.
Perhaps we head that direction, and if anyone asks, we say we are on our way to give what help we can.
The 4 of you head out the back of the inn, out of the tavern, and hit the road. You move your way up the cobblestone. You see more constabulary running by, and you see some citizens peeking out from the house. To the north, fire ripples off the trees. Doesn't look like the woodlands have been affected. The woodlands are pretty far out from the town, but the ranger station roof itself is ablaze. Looking up towards the building, with Charlotte pointing out over here where the cellar door, back door she found was. Go ahead and make awareness rolls.
And
13.
4.
10.
Over here, you guys see 2 constabulary members that have been posted up outside of the main entrance. But other than that, the building appears to be unguarded.
well, now let's see if we can't sneak in behind without drawing those two's attention.
Was our original plan to get into the visitor center itself or into the cellar?
I believe getting in. I was under the impression that getting into one would get you into the other.
That's fair.
We don't know that for sure, but yeah.
Not for
Yeah,
sure,
technically, they're at this time period. There probably were like unconnected cellars too.
But that's just what V would have.
Yeah.
Is it a 2-story building?
No, it is not.
Okay.
It does have a vaulted roof, though. It's meant to house a lot of people without them feeling claustrophobic.
Gotcha.
Are you guys going to try to sneak to the cellar door? You know it's got a big chain and a lock on it. But you also know that the dock is decent at picking locks.
Dock picking, we call it.
Dock picking. All right, stealth rolls.
Yeah.
Everyone has easy on this, and it is a contest, so that means you're going to roll twice and keep your higher. Roll to beat is a 4.
Oh, okay.
roll twice and take the higher?
Yep, because you're being contested by someone else's active roll.
I got
8.
13.
I got 8.
I got an 11.
Wow, we're stealthy today.
We are. Free roll.
All right. Moving through the back, you guys can hear the two guards talking about the fire up ahead. They appear to be pretty much completely distracted by it. And as you guys reach the cellar door, would you like to dock pick?
It sounds dirty when you say it.
Yeah, no. But like the good kind of dirty, right?
I will.
I'm going to take an awkward silence as a yes.
I'm going to use words of encouragement. I'm going to kind of hunker down next to him and point out some things that I'm seeing.
Eight.
8, and you got a words of encouragement. Okay. You pick the lock and you pull back the chain. Jensen grabs one side, you grab the other, and you guys pull open the heavy doors. And there is a slight set of cracked stone steps that lead downwards.
Is there any light down there?
No, there's not.
I'm going to pull out that
those
lantern
lanterns,
that I
right?
bought.
Yeah.
I will light it.
Okay.
As will I. Mine.
I think you guys had a few lanterns from the last session too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did they just
gave
give us
us-
those?
Yeah, I think they just gave those to you
Oh,
guys.
okay. Well, I'm
So I
going to use
think-
my nice lantern
Yeah.
that I bought from Hodge because it's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, it's a pretty lantern. I don't know what it looks like, but apparently it's a pretty lantern. It's canon now.
Spent money on it, so I'm going to use it.
Shining the lights, all of you step below. Go ahead and make awareness rolls. It is dim light in this chamber, which makes it difficult, but also because of the light that's being provided, it doesn't make it difficult actually. But you guys are fighting most of the effects of the dim light because of the light that's being provided. So
I got 3.
6.
rough.
7.
6.
The kind of long singular room that makes up this base, it stretches almost the length of the whole chamber. As all of you are peering into the dark, you see in front of you at the center of this hall 2 lumps on the ground. Maybe bodies in bags. As all of you step forward, Jensen, you peer down at the scabbard that holds your scimitar, and you see a soft glow of light.
Okay. I'm going to hold out my arm and stop everybody from going any farther forward. I'm going to say, something is very, very close to us. I'll look around to V. I'll say, you and I should go ahead a little bit, I think.
I'm going to catch Jensen's eyes and say, something unnatural?
Something.
Yeah, I'll kind of move back, let them go forward.
I will unlatch
Paint the ring.
I'll unlatch the scabbard.
Are you pulling out the sword?
I won't pull it out completely, but I'll unlatch it so I can whip it out.
As he
I'll walk in with my dukes up.
As he unlatches it, and the 3 of you start to step forward just behind him, all 3 of you would notice a gleam of light coming from within the scabbard.
And I'll walk forward.
As you step forward, sorry, Dara, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
was gonna ask Jensen. Something meaning what?
Miss Charlotte hit it on the head, as it were. Something unnatural is very close to us. And it's
At least that was not vague. Thank you.
it is not, and I know for a fact it is not V.
There's a shuffle in the basement ahead of all of you. It sounds like something, a chair or a stool maybe, being knocked over. A soft growl in the dark. And then glinting from the light of your lanterns, the bared fangs and the wide jaw with the speckled gray kind of coat, the muzzle of a large wolf.
Shit. And I will go for my blade and pull it out.
You pull out the scimitar. The whole blade of the scimitar gleams with light. It's almost like it's its own torch. The growl rumbles in the dark. It's much louder, rolling like thunder, and aggression to it when the blade kind of gleams back at it.
You're getting awful bold.
It kind of bears down, and its claws dig into the wood, raking at it as it growls, and it leaps forward towards you.
I'll say, a wall, and put your back to it. And like I'll try to like catch the attack.
Okay. Make an athletics roll.
Would I have any reaction to the blade?
No.
Let's
No.
just say the reason why I didn't cut you up the first time I met you was because my blade wasn't glowing.
Cool.
If it's an attack, can I use my mastery ability?
Do you want to try to attack it as it's coming at you, or do you want to try to like physically manipulate it? Like it seemed like you were going to try to like shove it into the wall or something. So if you're just going to try to attack it, then you would use if you're using your sword for what you're doing.
I was telling everybody else to find a wall and put your back against it, so like you can't get attacked from back. That's what I was saying. If it's just coming at me, I'm gonna try and parry it.
Okay, yeah. So go ahead and make an attack. As he says that, and the rest and the two of you behind them try to back up towards the wall, you hear another growl. And another wolf, just as large, starts stalking down the steps that you guys entered from.
I'm gonna head towards that one.
You see the good doctor and Charlotte kind of back up so that their backs are towards the walls, and you like put up your fists as it's coming down, and you start to rush over towards it. Make awareness rolls for me with your first deeds. The other two, Charlotte and Dara. You can roll an attack if you want, Fee.
My attack was a 19.
A 19? Yeah, that's gonna 100% hit it.
Okay. So as part of one of my features, I have sword mastery, and on one of I'm using the ability parrying blade, so I'll be dealing 1 wound of slashing damage to my opponent because I rolled higher on my attack as a reaction.
Why don't you go ahead and read your secret calling feature as well?
So
because that also affects this.
My secret calling feature is called Ordained Weapon, and it gives me 3 things. My scimitar is my ordained weapon, quite obviously, and what you just saw was Warning Weapon, which is your weapon has been imbued with weak but important magic. When a monstrosity-type creature is within 3 range bands of your location, the weapon begins to glow with a pale blue light, warning you of an impending attack. And it does 2 other things too, but
All right. So what did you get damage-wise on that attack?
Whatever the attack is.
You get 2 because it's a medium weapon.
Yeah, and then I get the one parrying blade automatically puts the 1 wound through as well.
Okay.
On top of that.
Okay, got it. All right. So you slash it. It stumbles back.
I don't think I get my attack as it's
Yeah,
worded.
I think you just get the 1 wound. It stumbles back, and you have slashed it, but it doesn't appear to be. It appears that it's like natural hide nullified any like effective damage.
I need you to back down. All right.
It growls and it snaps at you.
Mm-hmm.
V, because you're rushing the other one as it's coming down the steps. I'm gonna let you attack before it attacks.
I rolled a 17 for my first swing.
You swing in at it with your main hand. You're about to punch a wolf in the head.
Yep, and then my second swing was a 19.
Okay, both of those hit. What's the damage on your swings right now?
2 wounds each.
Okay. So it seems to takes a couple wounds total, and it kind of like hisses as it stumbles back, and then it leaps off, clawing at you. You manage to throw up your arms and shove it into the wall, and you basically nullify its attack against you. What did you 2 get as you're looking around as this is happening?
4.
So looking across the room, all of you see the 2 of you see a set of thin steps, and at the bottom of it, you see a figure standing. They're tall. They're wearing completely black clothing, but finely made, and they have kind of like a cape coming off of their suit. Almost like a trench coat, but it's much nicer in craft than like a standard worker's trench coat. And they kind of shift and cock their head, and you can see that below their hat they have kind of this long snouted bird-like mask that's covering their face, and they just kind of cock their head and look at the 4 of you as the wolves are trying to come in from either side, and then they turn with their lantern and they walk to the steps. They basically just like walk upstairs as this is happening. They were like a range band away from you guys. So you definitely know that there's currently someone else in this house who's watching this happen. The wolf that's in front of you is going to attempt to attack you. Actually, you're going to get an attack on it because all you've done is parry it.
Yeah, I will absolutely slash at it. The other part of sword mastery makes it versatile. I think my show was already.
Yeah, medium melee weapons are versatile, so you can swing for an extra wound.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think that's what it does. I think it gives you an extra wound on a hit.
Oh, okay. I don't
If
remember.
you two-hand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will. I'll go up to it, and I'll, instead of letting it, like, my instincts tell me it's about to go now, so I go like right before and like go in and try to slice at its like front limbs, feet, legs, whatever. Like I'm trying to like knock it off balance like that.
All right.
Yeah. Oh wow. 9, 10 total.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that hits.
All right. It's 2 plus 3. And so one of the other things about my secret calling, that ordained weapon, is that when you deal damage with the weapon, you may spend your reaction to activate a burst of magical radiance, dealing 1 additional wound of force damage to the target's health.
Yeah. So you use bursting. I think it's called bursting weapon.
Bursting strike.
Bursting strike, and you deal an extra wound of force damage, and that puts the wolf down. It screeches and then it sinks down into the ground. On the opposite side, V, the wolf in front of you has been bludgeoned on the head. It looks like it's still upright, though. You want to go in for a couple more attacks?
Yeah, I'll go in for finishing it off. 21.
Yep, that hits.
And,
You strike it in the head.
And a 13.
And a 13. That hits as well. You strike it in the head again, and that 4th punch just sends it into the ground. It whimpers, and then it kind of just sinks down unconscious.
Well done, V.
There's no
You
time
too.
to talk. There's another person. They just went
Oh.
upstairs.
Oh.
Yes, we should certainly hurry.
I'll start running up the stairs.
All right. All of you rush to the steps. You have to single file up to the stairs, and once you reach the top, you find yourselves inside the visitor center. It's a connected L-shaped hall full of placards, displays, statues. It's a visual history of Lambeth Hollow's story from its beginning till now. Everything that is most important for the council to advertise, and a great place to learn about here. As all of you do, you look back and forth, and on first glance, the hall looks empty. Then you see that figure stepping out from behind the statue, his cape dragging on the stone, the hooked bird-like mouth of his mask kind of turning, and the empty black holes where his eyes are gazing at all of you.
And who might you be?
This is your one warning. Leave Lambeth Hollow, or die. The cape shifts. Then that whole form, that whole physical being in front of all of you, collapses like a magic trick. Nothing left but a black cape crumpled on the ground, and the bird mask staring with its empty eyes at the four of you. And that's where we're going to end our session for the night.
Oh.
Spoopy.